It's just 10 minutes and the day's gone.
Well, he was just standing in the hall. Let me go see if he's still in the hall.
And now Bruce is gone.
No, he's not in the hall. So he must have gone to his office.
Oh, I gotta break up my neck.
I feel like I've been hit by a Mack truck lately. Have not been sleeping quite comfortably, I guess. I need a masseuse.
Dave, we got a procedural question. So Ms. Mott would like to do a vote. You vote on it after everything's done, or do we do the vote now?
You get to do it when you come out of open session. So you're out of open session. And you read this, you read that clause. You read this open session and may take.
Yeah, but we haven't done this one yet, so this is.
That's going to be an open session.
Yeah, that's open session.
So do we want to do this first and then do this?
Yes, I think so.
Try it.
She
Do it.
wants to vote on this one
I mean,
here.
you could do, I don't think it matters. You could do Mike first and then the judge.
Well,
Okay, are we back in? Ready? I'm going to hit it again.
Yeah.
I love it. The meeting is back in session, open session. And we are going to take a vote on,
You need a motion first.
oh,
We'll just read the clause here. City will council will reconvene.
the city council will reconvene in open session and may take action regarding the matters which are the subject of the above agenda.
And now, anybody like to make a motion?
Anyone like to make a
I'd
motion?
like to make a motion to vote on the employment of the city attorney
To discontinue it or
to
continue?
discontinue it.
Is there a second?
Motion dies.
If there's no second, then the motion dies.
Okay.
Okay, and the next is a personnel matter as well, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation of a public officer or employee, and that is Municipal Court Judge Neblett.
Judge,
Okay.
Come on up. Come on up.
So you want to be judge again?
I do, please.
What?
Yeah, I do. If I don't know what the timer set on her.
Three
If I-
minutes.
Or if you want to hear from me or not, but I've been the city judge for like 42 or 43 years. So that's like a long time. I know I got a 40-year statue a couple of years ago. And I remember back when Esther Arzola was our city secretary, that was like 10 or 12 years ago. She retired. And about 6 months after she retired, I was the longest serving employee of Port Aransas. And so now I guess I really am the longest serving employee, but you got a court you can be proud of. God, we're current. We've worked through everything except getting a building over there that is more than a temporary building. And I know the city and I know the city manager for sure, and the council backing him up is trying to resolve that problem. But when you get the county and the city and the federal government and FEMA and the insurance companies, one piece might stay still, but the other four are moving around. But whatever you all can do
We got a new strategy.
to help us, because we do good.
I got a strategy. Why don't we bring the FEMA people down here? You can arrest them hold them in court until they give us the money to let them go.
That, well, we'd let them stay a couple of days to give them a couple of hot pockets and let them sit in one of those leaky cells. But I don't see the chief here, but I'm sure he'd say amen. I see the head of the EMS and I'm sure he would say amen. But gosh, I mean, we really haven't missed a beat when the hurricane and the freeze and all that kind of stuff. Our court is current and we're providing the services, the law enforcement. But golly, people keep walking up to that derelict building behind our luxurious temporary quarters. And my understanding is that thing has to be torn down because it's built like 5 feet below
2
the
feet.
current 2 feet, whatever it is. I mean, it's got to be torn down. At least we could tear it down so the people wouldn't have to go up there and knock on the door and,
Yeah.
wonder why that toilet is sitting out there on the sidewalk. But
Well,
Anyway.
let me ask you what you thought about last year and all. Was it a big year for us? I mean, all of the traffic and all the people and.
Sure, it was a big year, but things went really smooth, relatively speaking. And in my sort of sense of that is we had a bigger percentage of family type people here. And I think there was some degree of gratitude for being let out of their cage in Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, or wherever, that they tended to be a little bit more respectful. Now, some of them drive 3 pickup trucks and put 15 people in a 1-bedroom rent house, and that's the way. I mean, if you can't come to Port Aransas and raise hell, why would you even bother to come? But see, no, I really felt like, even with the increased numbers, that we had a better control over it. That may be, I didn't see James Stokes out there walking a beat, but I bet he would have if he'd have thought it'd done any good. But no, we did do
Okay.
well, and
Yeah.
recovering from the freeze and all that kind of stuff.
So
Hats
do we
off.
need a motion to
Yes.
accelerate the inevitable here, which I believe will be the reappointment of
Do I hear a
Judge
motion?
Neblett? I would
There
like
it
to
is,
make
right
that
there.
motion.
Thank
I will
you.
second that one.
Reappoint
Thank
Judge
you.
Neblett.
I will second
Thank you.
that.
Okay. Francisca?
Councilmember First,
Yes.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayorperson Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay. When you got to work another
Thank
couple
you.
of years then.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. I humbly appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. May I be excused?
May you win.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So where are we now?
We are in item A.
Item E.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
E, discuss and take action to direct city manager to conduct an inquiry of the Development Services Department for property located at 906 South 11th, Port Aransas, Nueces County, Texas. Said inquiry shall include but not be limited to initial height measurements and steps taken to rectify deviation in code. That would be
Do we
David.
need to talk about that?
No, I think
I
we-
don't think
Can we
don't.
just take it off?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to
I think we
withdraw it.
can- I think we
Okay.
can
But I am
withdraw
going to move forward with that idea.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Okay.
if you want to discuss that after the total, I think it'd be good, just so people understand what we did. Maybe at the end of the meeting, or do you
I'll
wanna
just
do
say
it
now that, well, the idea is that when we have a corrective measure, that we do that we create a field report and do a field verification so that we have something in writing
Rather
that
than
will go
taking-
along with the correction. So
rather
that's
than
something we're going to do as a
taking the individual's
policy.
word.
And
And we're going to use some common sense, like it has to be over 30 feet. We're not going to go out there and check every 12-foot structure.
no, it'll be when there's a corrective
Structural
issue.
modification,
Yeah,
correct.
Sure.
And that will be paid for by,
Yeah, it's a pass through. Well, I mean, it's our time. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's anything that would be engineering, it would be a pass through.
I think that's a
Yeah.
very good solution. Thank you.
Okay.
So it needs to be made to postpone indefinitely if you don't want to discuss it.
Yeah.
Again, at a future meeting.
I make a motion to postpone item E indefinitely.
Second.
second.
I'll third
Councilmember
it.
Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, F is an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a City of Port Aransas, Texas combination tax and limited pledge revenue certificate of obligation series 2022, providing for the payment of said certification by the levy of an ad valorem tax upon all property, all taxable property within the city, and further securing said certification by a lien on and pledge of the pledge of the pledged revenues of the system. Did you write this? Authorizing the execution of any necessary engagement agreement with the city's financial advisor and providing an effective date.
Good evening, council members.
Good
My name's
evening.
Andrew Friedman with Samco Capital Markets. I have the pleasure of serving the city as financial advisor. To answer your question, I did not write that language. That is, you're very thorough bond attorneys, so we're going to blame them.
Mark McCliney, who did he did the last.
The notice of intention resolution.
Right, but was that on Zoom or was he here? It was
Yeah,
Zoom,
so
right?
I think where
Okay.
he's on the phone, I think we called him because he couldn't make it here in time.
Yeah, that's right. Right. So
I think that was
Andrew's,
actually
Mark's partner with Samco.
Correct.
Okay.
Been a while since I've been in front of you all in person. The last series of debt we sold last spring was also done by Zoom, I believe.
Right.
For the softball field.
Correct.
Yes.
The numbers that I've got before you are the final numbers for this $900,000 financing for street improvements. The borrowing amount is $885,000. The purchaser, which is Community National Bank, which is merging with Hondo National Bank, we worked with them to come up with a market rate for this fixed 15-year financing that'll be callable in 10 years. So on February 16th, should you all approve these certificates of obligation, $900,000 will be wired to the city's general operating account to be expended toward the project. That's net of the cost of issuance for financial advisor, bond counsel, and the other various fees related to completing this financing. So behind the first page is the actual pricing. These are, and this shows this is a 15-year financing. We'll start paying principal back February 15th of 2023. Final maturity will be in 2037. You can see how much principal is being paid back each year. This will be on a level repayment schedule. That's on the next page. We'll go over that. And you can see the coupon rate, which is what the city will pay Community National Bank. And to the right of that, the yield. That's what any individual maturity actually yields out in the market and is priced according to. And so those interest rates range from 0.83% to 2.19% out in year 15. We went about the approach of pricing this a little bit different than we normally do, and it was due to the size of the financing and how long we were financing it. So $900,000 is a lot of money in municipal bonds and public finance. It's not a lot of money, especially when you stretch it out over 15 years. So what we did, and we worked with Community National Bank to do this, they're been a great partner to work with on kind of odd financings like this, where it's small, but it's long, I took a public bond sale and used those same rates to come up with what he would purchase this at, and what it ultimately got us to, and especially how the market has been acting the last couple of weeks of what we call the true interest cost, which is roughly the average interest rate of all of those yields, comes in at 1.86%. So a very, very good deal for the city. In the last 2 days since the Fed met and released their minutes, and then the GDP numbers came out today more favorably, but the Treasury bond market has sold off precipitously. So that means that interest rates are going up at a very fast clip. Since November, we're up over 50 basis points in municipal yield. And so these numbers are probably more reflective of a couple of weeks ago, because the bond sale that I used to judge this based upon happened about a week ago. So
they're gonna use these numbers.
These are the final numbers for your
Okay.
approval tonight. Then they're locked in and
Okay.
they're not going to change, and they're fixed rate over 15 years. They won't
Sure.
change
Okay, perfect.
till you pay them off or they mature on their own.
Here's something that's, I think so that works in the benefit of this. The way this is all written in the ordinance is that you guys can use this for any street project in the city. This is not specifically It's never been advertised that, it's been advertised very loosely. It's street money. You guys can use it towards what you've been working for. If, so that has a couple more months of design, doing permitting. But you guys by no means are you having to lock yourself into that commitment? Because here's why, we we always have street and drainage projects.
Right.
So we're always going to need,
Right.
usually when we do a street project, it's typically $2 to $6 million. So, so for me, there's very little risk for you guys moving forward with this and approving it, because you can always use it for.
But the vote tonight will be that it will be approved.
Right.
Yes,
on
you
the
guys are
14th
voting to
of
approve it.
February, no matter what.
Yeah,
the
you guys
money's
are
going
voting to
to,
approve it.
money's going to the account. It's just, so, but I just know that, I mean, I guess part of it is if this money's kind of earmarked for something, and we spend it, I know like our last $1.5 million bond issue, we ran out of money and only got about 3/4 of the projects done because there were overruns and things were more expensive and yada, yada, yada. I just want to make sure that, we at least keep some of the money for the original intended purpose.
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. When you guys, even if you put this out to bid, technically you guys aren't officially committing 100% of it until you sign a contract with a construction firm, which might be months and months down the road. So that's the ultimate commitment at that point.
Right.
Not necessarily.
But we
tonight.
approved tonight, we're getting the check
Tonight
tomorrow.
you're approving the sale of the bond and move forward with it, and we're getting that money.
Sure.
But we still have more steps. We gotta still do some doom permitting. Of course, engineering. We've been waiting on engineering because we didn't want to start engineering until we had money. So.
Is there any reason not to do it? We can always use that street money.
You can always use money.
Oh, yeah, you can always use the money. There's
When
no
people run
reason
you
not
out
to.
for raising
not
taxes.
approve this.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Prove that, I guess you could just read the first sentence if you wanted.
Oh. Let's see, authorizing the issuance, City of Port Aransas, Texas combination tax and limited pledge revenue certificates of obligation series 2022.
I maintain my second.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you,
Andrew.
Pleasure to be back in front of you all.
Thanks for driving down.
Thank you for selling us some money.
Yeah, fine.
G, discuss and take action on large special event permit request from Southern Coast Open LLC to conduct the 2022 Palm Fest and Southern Coast Open Barbecue Masters Throwdown and Music Festival in Roberts Point Park beginning May 13th, 2022 and ending May 15th, 2022.
Take them up and down, please.
Good evening, everybody. Everybody have one, pass them around.
Okay, who are you? Tell me your names.
Hi, yes,
again.
ma'am. I'm Winston Carricker. We own the Palm Republic. We also own the Southern Coast Open LLC, which is a recently formed events company that we put in place to host this event and create the proposed event that we're here to seek approval on using city property for. It, as you stated, it's the Southern Coast Open Texas Barbecue Masters Throwdown, in addition to Palm Fest, which is the music portion of the event. The property that we're seeking to use is the city area at Roberts Point Park, the most specifically the soccer field area where the old turnaround area was. The new parking lot is placed there. So from the soccer field and slightly extended past, it's also, there's a diagram there in your packet.
And the reason they're here is because there's certain triggers that make something a large event. If it was a small event permit, it just goes through staff. But if it's a large event, if it's over 10,000 people in 3 days,
3,000 a day.
3,000 a day. But the trigger they hit is valuation. The valuation is kind of a real low number. It's from the 90s, but it's still on the ordinances, and it's, what was it? $7,000. So if you spend more than 7,000, it's a large event permit. So
That's why we're here.
That's why they're here.
So you're expecting.
So they need council approval.
Say that again?
You're expecting 50 barbecue teams?
Yes, sir.
40 to 50.
Yes, sir, 40 to 50, given the course approval from you and you guys in the space we're able to utilize and the number of teams and how big the slots are. that
Well,
we
it's
are
been a
able
long
to
time
fund.
since we had barbecue
Yes, ma'am.
contests, years and years ago, I
We
remember.
did actually have one last year. It was much smaller. It was, we partnered with Glenn and Lee Harper at Back Porch and Woody's, and we did a small section of their parking lot. We had 15 teams. But it was a big success as far as we're concerned. We also were able to raise a generous scholarship for the high school with just a small period of planning time and
We
a
did it in
small
3
event.
weeks.
Yeah, three weeks. To be
That's when we're trying to
specific.
get ahead of a little.
It was a good event.
It was fun.
Yeah.
They were just where they were at last
Yeah.
year.
We
didn't
bought
they?
the we bought your parking lot last year. We won't do
That's what
that.
I'm wondering. I mean, you're gonna have 1,000 people, you said, think of this. thing.
We're hoping. We're hoping.
I think so. I think probably it's not.
Oh,
that-
they
On 3
did.
It'll be an
days.
issue.
I think it's.
In
well,
3 days?
I'm glad. This
2
is
days.
good.
It'll be 2 days and then the third
was
day will be
good.
clean up. on
They did
Sunday.
meet with Colleen, our Parks Director, to discuss her concerns with the field.
Mhm.
And Colleen's request is a $1,500 deposit because we have just redone irrigation in that area. So we want to make sure that we
Absolutely.
would
agree
cover
Absolutely.
that. And then
Make sure you put all the sticker birds back.
which
Yeah,
they
gotta
would
put them back.
yeah,
We're
which
gonna
they
put
would
those
give.
back. Some
And
of
then
them have been
also
grandfathered in.
a commitment from them that they would, if they get their money back, then they would possibly help Colleen with like a soil topping.
Well, we would like to do that anyway,
yeah.
whether, and of course,
Just
the,
budget for it every year.
Yeah.
So David, I haven't been out here real quick though, but I just see that like the parking area, are they gonna be able to access it with those bollards or are they gonna have to drive through the old ferry lane to get there for that parking?
If you look at like up there
So like the road down here at the bottom there, in the middle, to the left,
to the
you can-
left,
well, like, so the cut across from going into the park and back out. Here, sorry. Right here. It's still showing bollards. Can that bollard go?
oh, those are gone.
it's all
changed. Right, so right now, Bruce, if you go down there, there's a parking lot that does,
How many parking spaces are right there, David? Do you
yeah,
know?
yeah. The brand new parking lot does
There's
this.
It's gotta be
They have
what,
some for
50 or
road
60?
trailer, and then they have some.
Yes, it's pretty large. So you
Okay.
come
I haven't been out there.
in like that and down. So they would be using this area up here.
Sure.
and the idea was to have one pass through for traffic, so it wasn't just a free for all, and not typical to most barbecue contests that we've learned from others that have done and we talked to. Our competitors won't be able to keep their trucks on the field or set up tents of that nature to camp for a long period of time, which of course isn't allowed by the city anyway. But they would be dropping their pits off and exiting down one specific way, so we're not disturbing a lot of land. As far as the irrigation, if we would have known the irrigation had been placed in, then we would have already requested to leave a deposit. And
Yeah.
furthermore, on the soil, we do want it to be, not if we mess it up thing, but every year, if our organization could be responsible for getting it up to par for the upcoming fall season, that's kind of something we want to build in.
Now, one thing, you guys got to remember that, are you guys doing alcohol? Because you have to meet,
TABC's.
TABC, like fencing regulations
Absolutely.
and security, like whether you use the constable or,
I think it's person dependent, the attendance, of how many people you can determine how many law enforcement you need there to, we can help you do that.
But you definitely need a fence.
Absolutely, and we do have somebody on our board, Lee Harper from the Back Porch, who has that experience, so he will be guiding us through whether it's fenced off for TABC purposes or beer and wine, which we'll be partnering with the VFW, for example, to do that, so they're also
okay.
that type of thing. But yes, sir, absolutely, and as far as security, something we'd want to do anyway. I'm sure there's requirements for it, but our security will be put in place as well, for sure.
So
I motion to approve.
Well, I just want to say, there's an addition, well, you gotta make sure that the deposit was raised. So you add that to your motion.
Yeah, I mean, based on what was said, the $1,500 deposit,
Okay.
topping the field out, basically everything that was
Fancy,
discussed.
okay, as long as just, because it's gotta be in the
Fencing and
motion.
alcohol
Yeah, I
control.
mean, basically that they're meeting all TABC and
Yeah.
city ordinances,
Okay.
which it's, I
Absolutely.
mean, it sounds like you guys are, so.
Sound like you got it all under control.
We're trying, yes, ma'am.
Then I will
absolutely.
second that.
Okay.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Seagull,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thanks for your time, y'all.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you
Good
you.
luck.
much. Yeah. What's that?
Wanna be a
Hope it
judge.
works out
Oh,
well.
You're all welcome to judge. Absolutely. It's some good advice. We weren't joking about the city team days.
All right, all right. Been eating too much.
Presentation from Fire Marshal Nathan Kelly on city's infrastructure and progress, including ongoing efforts toward community-wide fire safety.
How are you tonight, sir?
Howdy, how y'all doing?
Good.
Yeah, we've had, I think Joe Ellen and Tim had come in and asked how we were doing on the striping issues and some of the other stuff.
Sure.
So we just figured get Nathan over here and give us an update on how he's doing.
So we have been going through the neighborhoods and looking at different things that need to be done. Of course, the striping program kind of got it implemented, I would say probably around late 2017. I don't know if y'all really have the history of how I got here, but
You can tell us.
yeah, the city manager and Rick both recognize the need to have a fire marshal. That prior to me being here, there's little to no fire marshal going on. I was at the time working for Portland as the fire marshal, but I had come from Denton County where I had done contract work before. So in order to help them at almost no cost to the city, it was real easy to bring me in. I had already pretty much had it all set up in the way I had done it up in Denton, and it's worked out really well for the city, primarily the benefit of the city. And we've been very lucky to, we've never had to write a citation. We've never had to shut anybody down or anything like that. Now, when I first got hired, which was like 2 weeks before the hurricane,
Yeah.
I was coming to do annual inspections. Once the hurricane hit, it totally turned what my job was going to be around, to the point that I actually hired another guy to help me out, and he does primarily all my annual inspections. I've been doing all the new construction stuff. And so I was just looking at some of the numbers that we've done just from last year, kind of an annual report for you guys. We did 17 fire sprinkler hydros, 61 fire finals, alarm and sprinkler finals. We did 207 inspections. That's going out to the different businesses. 5 hood suppression tests. I did 2 investigations, which y'all probably didn't know. I do y'all's fire investigations too when I'm called. So anytime that there's a concern about, what started the fire, whatever, they ask me to come out and I do that investigation for them. I did 33 plan reviews and 18 civil plans. The civil plans became kind of new as we saw things getting built out that, okay, let's bring the fire marshal in so we could catch this before anything's ever even built, which has really helped out. So that's kind of how that all got started. The insight that these guys had going forth, knowing that they're going to need that to come in, was great forethought, because to build all this stuff without a fire marshal would just not be a wise choice. So that was a really good deal. So we do a lot of inspections over here, quite a bit. I had to hire another guy. We do a lot of coordination with the volunteers, of course. Back when Chris was still a chief, did a lot of work. Me and Chris talked at least every other week or so. And then with the new the new fire chief, Adam Maldonado, I talk to him almost every day now. He calls me all the time. But working with them, that kind of started the Knox box requirement that was already in the code that had just never gotten put in. And the Knox boxes are key boxes that we put on a business, so that if there is a call there, we don't have to break down their doors or anything like that. The fire department already has that key that they keep on the truck. They can open up, get in there, get in the business real quick. So if you just had a fire alarm going off or something like that, then they just go up there without having to bust your door down. They can do their own investigation. Everything's fine. Turn around, lock the door, lock the key up there. Everything's good. And then so a lot of questions have come up about striping and going and making sure that the fire lane striping's been going in. And we've been doing a lot of work. In fact, I have a meeting with someone tomorrow about fire lane striping. We do a lot of that now. Before, and I mean, you can go to Corpus and see it. You can go to, well, pretty much any town and see it, but their fire lane striping is something that's really caught on over the years. And so now we're doing a lot of catching up. And the standardizing of that is what's primarily been the biggest challenge around this area.
So what do you mean by doing it? You advise where it should be?
Yes, actually on the plans saying this is where you should be doing this. This road should be this width.
Okay.
If a building's over a certain height, then it should be this width because they need to get aerial apparatus in there, which is a much bigger truck.
Right.
And even like with my meeting for tomorrow, that meeting is also about what they're going to make the road out of, because it has to be able to support that heavy aerial truck that the fire department has. So, just the technical stuff that you have to get into with that without a fire marshal would be really tough. So, I mean, I'm glad that I'm here to help you guys. And so it's been a great program. Like I said, it's very little cost to the city. Most of my inspections are pass-through fees, like we've talked about before. That's the way it was set up. I even had to employ my wife to do all my bookkeeping because I can't keep up with it. So she does all my invoicing and keeps up with all my plans and stuff like that. So it's been busy since the hurricane. Really busy.
So with the red striping, are you also looking at, old properties that should have had it done, maybe it's faded, or
so
it didn't get done properly initially?
It's part of their annual inspection. So
Okay.
once they have, when they initially put it in, so a place being built right now today that's going to require fire lanes for the reasons it has to have it, then we have them put it in. After that, as we do their annual inspection every year, my inspector comes out, and that's one of the first things you look at when you come in. You see the fire lanes because you got to park, and if they're not maintained, then we ask them to get that.
Okay, so
like how do you do like a townhome? Do they like a townhome project that has 40 homes? Their striping's faded, but the townhome project itself doesn't have an annual, do they? Or do
No, they would.
So
not.
how does that get? How do you trigger that?
Condo association.
So
or condo.
So there's a couple ways that they can be triggered, either by usually, if code enforcement was to call me, or city management was to call me. A lot of times we drive through neighbors that we're looking at fire hydrants and stuff, just to, on these new projects, we got to see where they're at. And it's kind of tough to get back. It's not the toughness is finding who's responsible, and that's the key, is who's responsible.
like a HOA or
who's the main person in charge that can make that decision.
But like for example, like a townhome project, it might not have an HOA, right, Rick? I mean, it could just be
it's possible.
10 individual homeowners. So the question would be is, how do you force them to
we hold them all accountable.
Yeah.
Each one has to stripe their 5 or 10 feet in front of their house.
Yeah, if there's not, then we hold every property owner responsible. We let them figure it out. They just need to get it done.
Right. So you issue a warning or something, say, hey, make sure.
We'll tell them they need to be in compliance, give them so long. It's sometimes a challenge to find the companies to do it. They've been hit like everyone else.
Right. Like I think Joan,
We're talking about our HOA.
yeah, I was talking to Scott, Joan's husband, who's the HOA
President, yeah.
and they're restiping La Jolla, and it's the same thing. It's
never been striped.
He's got to contact I told him to call us, but he's got to contact a striping company, make sure it gets at the right width, the right color,
lettering's right,
lettering's correct.
Correct.
But it's like you said, it's like in that case, you guys have an active HOA, so it's easy to go to the HOA and say,
Right.
you guys do it. It's these other ones that are the problems where there's no HOA or something.
So what, is there anything as council that we can do to make your job easier?
I mean, as far as I mean, there's already an ordinance for it.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no ordinance to create or anything. It's like I said, it's that finding the right people that's gonna be.
And I assume you work with Rick as much as possible.
Oh, yeah.
To get all that.
Yeah, I talked to Rick quite a bit.
5 more, let's do.
Yeah. Yeah. I work with Rick a lot, and I gotta say, this is one of the easiest places that I've ever had to do fire marshaling.
Because of cooperation or,
Yeah, well, in the city management that I deal with. And I've done contract fire marshaling quite a bit, and I got my inspector in 1994, and I've either been the fire marshal or worked directly for the fire marshal since 2006. So, I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I'm one of the directors of the Texas Fire Marshals Association. I mean, I've been in this for a while. Currently, I work for Aransas Pass as a fire chief. I didn't know if y'all knew that. So that's the other reason I had to get some help over here, because I can't always be over here. But my inspector that comes over, he's been an inspector since 2008-ish. 2010. So he's got lots of experience. I work with him a lot over there. I'm teaching them now to do plan reviews and stuff. Everybody gets training in doing plan reviews, but how to actually go through plan reviews and stuff. And if I retire, I think that he would be a good choice for y'all later on.
Whoa.
That way part of it.
No one's allowed to retire, sir.
Are we doing a drive around tomorrow?
Sir?
Yeah.
We're booked for a drive around tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'll be here all day tomorrow.
We're gonna go do some scouting.
Yeah. Now, I mean, and so part of the good thing, like I said, with me coming in on the civil plans is that, not every place is supposed to be red stripe.
Right.
I mean, if that was the case, then every roadway in the world would
Right.
be red stripe. That's not always necessary. But if we build the street correctly off the bat, then we don't have to worry about the red striping even if they're parking. And that's really the key. So, I mean, I think that's the direction that we've been moving.
Thank you, Nathan.
Okay.
okay, thank
Any
you
other
very
questions?
much. Yeah.
Oh, man, that was easy. Yeah. Man, I wish my other council meetings were like this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. We are lucky to have him, and anytime you see any of the Aransas past leadership, thank them too, because they do share with us. It's a very good relationship.
Okay, item I, F plat 212908, Pamea Beach Phase 4B, being a replat of lots 1 through 9, Block 1, Pamea Beach, a map of which is recorded in volume 68, pages 24, 29, map records of Nueces County, Texas, and Lot 1C, Block 13, Pamea Beach PUD Unit 2, a map of which is recorded in volume 69, pages 63 through 68, map records of Nueces County, Texas. The applicant is KM Beach LLC, property location 3900 Highway 361.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Counsel. I believe we also have the project engineer here too for any additional questions. But as I say relatively often, this is again another replat of the previously approved master planned unit development, in this case, Pamea. This is just the next phase they're preparing for development and construction. Best documents that I always like to in these packages that I think are most informative are the ones that just show the existing lot conditions and then compares that to the replat. In this case, they are modifying several of the lots in that lower section as David has there. They're creating a few more lots from what was originally done, but they're also adding a park, a little small park in between. But that's not uncommon for planned unit developments as long as the purpose is within the stated intent, which is residential, mixed use, the things that they were originally approved to do. And so to see lots, sometimes they actually consolidate to get bigger. In this case, they're They've divided them into a couple more. But like I said, they've added a park in between the sections. That's really probably the overview. If there's any specific questions, I'll take that or ask somebody from Urban to come up and talk.
Any reason not to? Any problems or issues or?
It is consistent, it is consistent with our ordinances. The reviewing engineer did confirm that as well.
Motion to approve as
Second.
stated.
I second.
Chairperson Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
motion carries.
Discuss and take action to confirm that BFDP 21-2502 is consistent with the city's coastal management plan.
Yeah. Just
The proposed permit will include graded plots of land for future residential amenities. The applicant, the Weil family, property location 825, 833 Miramar Lane.
Thank you. And we also have the project engineer here as well. There is, let me point out, we did catch in the background information. There was a sentence in there that referred to the mitigation of the impacted area to be placed on GLO's property seaward of the project. That was incorrect. We got that corrected. I have that corrected sheet for the dune permit.
And it's on their property?
All the mitigation is on site.
On the Weil property.
This was a carryover because if you remember, there was 2 dune permits in the same vicinity. This was a property that had inadvertently, for whatever reason, started some work and was caught and stopped. And so this and the other one were done, I don't want to say simultaneously, but in coordination with each other by the same engineer. And so this is the one, the language was kind of a carryover from one of the previous ones.
So has everything been mitigated from when they made the mistake back, I guess, in October, whenever they?
Is this the one that got fined?
Correct.
And is this the one that, is this the dune permit that they went in and tore something up?
Yeah, you
and
guys
got
looked at it. I
fined?
think you guys looked at it in November.
Right,
maybe?
saw the other one. That's, yeah, come on up, Harris. Yeah, just because it was one of the more, it's one of the more complicated
We've got a question.
situations we've had. We were fortunate that the same engineer actually tackled both. So Harris,
Good evening, Harris Ip with Urban Engineering. To answer your question, is all the dunes that were on the lot mitigated? They were. The owner placed them back in a to his best ability in an attempt to correct the mistake that was made when he basically had the idea that he had a permit to do them already, and that was as soon as he found out, he was working closely with the city, with us to correct the process. And but yes, they were moved. They're back there now, but the dune that we're proposing is larger in volume and an area and in a better location for the dune system.
So does it do both of them, the mitigation for the first change as well as the mitigation for what they're proposing now?
Yeah, what they placed back was supposed to replace what was already taken out.
What they put
And
back.
and
they're not, it's not grassed over anything, it's just a pile of sand.
Mhm.
So
yes,
I guess my question is, it wasn't clear to me because I read the GLO property thing and that's where the mitigation was going to be. So where is mitigated?
The mitigation's right here, Bruce. If you look at your map, it should be in blue.
Okay.
And it's right along the
Got it.
north
Okay, I see it
boundary
now.
line bordering Avenue G.
It's like
Okay.
There's, I think, a couple telephone poles there.
Yeah, I see it now. For some reason, I just missed it when I was reading the packet because I thought GLO, well, I guess I was confused. I read GLO land. So I was thinking it was going to be out of their property line.
Yeah, out here
and not
somewhere.
looking at this blue contour as a proposed mitigation.
Yeah, so it's right in there.
Got it. Okay.
So does everybody feel comfortable with this now?
Well, I guess-
Legally?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the mitigation
Yes.
there versus like somewhere in here because I
As
think.
far as our dune permits are concerned,
Correct.
that's what I mean.
It is
for overwash.
Right. It is consistent with our coastal management plan. Hanson, in this case, reviewing, they reconciled all issues, and so they were in agreement. And we have the GLO letter in here too, which
Right.
is lengthy, but it's the standard language that we're used to
Right.
seeing, you know.
Speaking of the GLO letter, it just said that there should be fines. Did we find them?
Yes.
Or- Okay.
We did.
And you
And
all-
we give them a severe scolding letter and
Slap on the wrist.
Remind them that
Hey,
that the
don't
GLO.
You can't do that.
GLO can find them, and that the GLO can find us. And so, you know, don't let it happen again.
So this big pile of sand is the mitigation for the dune.
Correct. And
The blue, are you looking at the blue?
No, he's looking at us.
Okay, so,
Oh, no, that's not the mitigation.
Good.
well,
This is
they
what I'm trying to
did
get at.
they
You
gra-
said a big pile of
well,
sand.
no, so they graded it and they put that back as their,
They tried to.
back original condition.
Mhm.
And then they're gonna.
And
now
they
they're gonna move it.
replanted it?
No, they didn't replant it.
they
That's all I
stay,
asked.
so the requirement is they stabilize it, and that they be responsible for the revegetation, but they're given 3 years for that
The
to.
Joan goes out and
Okay.
checks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I will.
Don't,
We know
don't,
you
sorry.
will.
Good, somebody will.
I know, somebody needs to go check.
But the way the GLO Natural Resource Act is, they have 3 years to accomplish that mitigation. And that's, again, as a sideline, that's been one of the issues we've struggled with, is how we keep track
If it
and
blows
follow
away
up.
in 3 years.
Well, it's not gonna be there in 3 months. It's gonna be over by Avenue G.
Now, they are required to stabilize, and more are using hydromulch and other modern technology, but hay works pretty darn good too.
So,
Is it,
go ahead.
is it weird to have it along Avenue G there? I mean, is that gonna be,
No, because when you think about, there's some low areas there, and so they're filling in some of those areas.
and it's connected with dunes that are.
And we always worry about, cut throughs and wash through the dunes to the residential side, but there's a lot of risk even on the roadways. So anything that can prevent that storm surge when and if, heaven forbid, it
Yeah, I
comes.
think it's kind of neat that they're
Is there-
building up that edge.
Is there already a berm there? 'Cause
There
I kind of
is.
remember it's pretty high, but I don't know how deep it is. So I said, it looks like it's pretty shallow. And that would actually help support that.
Let me see.
Well, there,
I know there's that little, there's that, yeah, see, there's that little, there's a little 2-foot stem wall, but it's not that high, Bruce.
Right.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
you'll
it's
see
not
that
right there,
connectivity
but-
that it'll have to that other area.
I mean,
you don't,
All right, Rick, this is just somewhat related to this, but a general question too. So I noticed on some construction sites,
Yeah.
we're having a lot of, we'll call it drifting sand. Do we currently have anything in place ordinance wise?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that, Carla is on more and more frequently. There's erosion control,
Right.
various ways they can accomplish it, but at the end of the day, they have to either silt fences, watering, hay, something, not unlike the mitigation.
I thought, I knew
There
there
is.
was something, I wasn't make sure that it just seems like we're having more of it lately, so I didn't know if it was
Right.
just, something that was just.
It is, and
How they're doing it, or if we need to.
it's that the north winds come through and then you really see it because it's,
I read it, I mean, but I want
yeah,
to make
like when
sure.
you called me
Have
the
you
other
got
day,
somebody
that was that
for this?
north wind that blew all that
right,
sand
and
everywhere.
we're not shy about going out to them and saying, clean it up, put it back.
Well, I knew that
Does
based
he
on
want
orders,
to?
but we should,
He doesn't want to,
if
but
there
I'll
wasn't
make-
something we could do to.
It's one of the things he wants to do.
Just catch them sooner and
Okay.
yeah, and like I said, I have a new code enforcement officer that graciously allowed me to hire. He's ill. He had a death in the family, or he would have been here. He'll eventually come to, so I can introduce him.
He knows. a lot more
I mean,
than
that's
I
my
do.
only gripe on the whole thing is let's find it sooner. I mean, that's really the best way to do these things.
Right.
Sorry about that, I didn't.
I appreciate the question.
So everything's, and you're confident not only with the approval, but with the mitigation then.
CLO approved, our reviewing engineer that reviews on our behalf indicates it's consistent, so.
Who's going to motion to?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayor Whittenholt,
yes,
Councilmember Clark,
Clark, yes.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
motion carried.
thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
you get to sit down.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Where we at?
We are.
We are in K, presentation update
Oh, geez, Dave.
and general
no,
discussion
no,
from
they're
Freeze and Nichols on the city's comprehensive plan.
That's who that.
Fran, how do I make this big again?
That's what I said.
Which one? That one?
Now what? Drag it?
Yeah, there you go.
One of each, are you making piles?
There we go.
So do we have freezer nickels?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah, there they
I'm
are.
on the line. Yes, we do.
Can we hear them?
How are you?
We can't hear them.
You know, what, let's just make packets.
Eddie, are you muted?
No, I am not.
No,
Man,
can you
we
hear me?
need volume.
Can you hear me? Check, 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 check.
Eddie, I-
Down.
Eddie, I
Up,
can.
this all
down.
go
Eddie, can you
together?
hear me?
No, no,
Yes.
there's two.
I can hear you.
Okay, 2 pages each,
Um,
2 passive.
Hold up. Fran, what am I?
Unmute, no.
Okay.
Sorry, Rick Hen's out of order, so I messed up.
Ask to unmute. What have I done?
Everybody have a packet? Or
Yeah,
2 pages?
We got 2
Thank you.
pages.
Eddie,
Yes, I'm here.
We can't hear them.
Erica, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
David, can you hear
hold on,
Erica?
we're still working it.
Last time we had them call in.
It might be me. I might have done something.
Maybe we should blame Dave.
I'll second that.
No, I don't even have a PlayStation.
We did use a phone last time, I believe.
Well, I can see them. Hello.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
They can't read mine either.
Check, check, check. Can you hear me now? Erica, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
They're laughing at today.
Yeah.
We're working it. Hold on, Eddie. Yeah, no, they already got their contract.
They're fixed.
We can go.
They can hear you.
Where is the?
You want one? Can we take a 5-minute break while you're doing this? Or 2-minute break?
2-minute break, yeah. 2 minutes.
Okay. Erica, but you can still hear me though, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll wait for you, even if not, we'll wait for you.
When's?
Yes, comma, David, I can hear you and everyone there. Erica can hear me, but unfortunately, you guys can't hear us.
Speaker is there.
Eddie, we can't hear you, so whatever you're suggesting, we can't hear you. Oh, wait, you're texting me. Yes, David, I can hear you and everyone there. Erica can hear you, but unfortunately, you guys can hear us?
I can hear you.
So quit saying bad things.
We have our IT specialist here, Eddie. Did I do something wrong?
No, I just need to make sure that.
Unmute David.
Is it someone there?
Yeah,
unmute
David.
I'm trying to figure out where the Zoom thing is. See these. Unmute. That's you, and they're all unmuted, right?
Yeah.
Where is, can't get to the bottom of this.
Here, make it smaller. Drag that thing. There you go.
See, it's not, it's at the top, the things have moved. Like right up here, this is what I'm looking for. There it is, that's what I'm looking for.
Ah,
This. There you go. I can hear something. Does that work at all?
Eddie, say something.
Check, check, check. How are you? I can hear you, Erica. So all good there.
Now, if they can hear you not.
Or if it has anything to do with sharing their screen, the background that we see, I don't think so though.
What you can do is they can come off of Zoom and call in through their phone and still be a part of the meeting.
Right.
Can they call into that phone?
They can.
Okay, that's an option. If you
Yeah.
can't hear them, they can always leave you.
Do you have these
and
phone
then call
numbers?
into
To the Zoom.
This should be on the TV and that should be all the way up.
Right. Is the volume up over there?
All the way. I'm trying to think out, because this is going through this is going through your system over there. Do you have that up over there too? Going out to the public? This one? Yes. Yeah. It should matter.
Tell them.
We're still looking.
What are they?
I saw some cough drops.
You know, I've got some of those somewhere, like in Europe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, is that where they're made? Because I think I got them.
Amazon has everything.
China.
Since they're made in, looks like New York. Buffalo.
Huh.
Yeah, it looks like New York.
It's number 547. You found it?
Yes. 5-47. Oh, talking about the flowing sand.
Oh, what was it?
5-47.
Right.
Check. You got
That's
me?
that. Because that was done in 09. What was that?
EMS.
Check. That's, can you hear me?
I'm gonna.
Yeah, but there.
For my
Anyway, to
headphones.
answer your question, she's fine. She's just in a little bit of pain, but
Eddie.
she's getting
Yes.
better.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
She's having a hard time finding a position that she can't lay on her back.
Put a
She
speaker.
can't sit down for very long.
Get that.
And she can't lay
On her stomach?
Well, actually lay on her stomach, but anywhere that puts pressure on her pelvis is causing pain. So. Like I said,
You're not muted, Eddie?
They're not giving her any kind of strong pain medication.
No.
Like they're taking-
And they're from two different spots. So they're,
I know.
yeah, they're not.
It's not like, they're giving her some type of narcotic or anything. So,
Well, the garden club sent out a
Okay.
notice about it, so
But she-
people will be,
She was super sad because apparently she's supposed to be doing the tour of homes
right, that's tomorrow, I mean Saturday.
or Saturday. And so she
We can
like
send him
that,
a phone number.
and she was telling me when,
On the phone through Zoom.
What do you mean?
There's a Zoom link, there's a phone number they can call in through Zoom.
I mean,
And it'll still show up on here. We'll just see them, their faces, and we'll just hear them through the audio.
Okay, let's try that.
Well, she'll be home in 2 weeks. and that
Eddie,
was,
you're hearing me,
And
right?
then she has to have some.
I can hear you, Erica.
Okay, I was just quitting Teams to see if maybe that mattered.
I'm trying to call.
Eddie, we're gonna send you a number here in a minute.
All the kids, my brother, my sister, let her. I think I have a room on the upstairs, so she can't do that, but Robin.
I don't know. It's pretty disruptive. Let's just wait.
Eddie Haas.
So she probably live there that way. They can put my Robin.
What's that one?
So, and again, I should be over by the time I get home, but the thing is, like I said, I'm working out today.
Baby, can you hear me now?
Those are people that send it.
Negative, 4 times negative.
So, like,
And I can.
well, you can have your own in your
I
pocket.
did them on Monday.
Yeah,
I mean, I think I
have
need
to
to
be
let
someone
me
that-
on the phone now.
I have a-
Oh, what is it? So you need two pins.
I'm taking it very serious. I mean, not that I didn't take it serious, but, I'm just trying to.
It said, I don't want to do it, but then it. So yeah, you got P and Z, and then
Someone
one
had
of
me in a
the
second.
two.
I know,
And
you
then
can't, but we can't hear them here, so, but they're, but the microphone here is not.
chamber, school, and then two P and Z.
I do too.
Now it's gonna.
Especially when that
Yes, you know, citizen.
I'm very satisfied with that
Oh,
solution.
So do we need to?
I had her a second ago.
Just vote on this.
She was doing something, I heard her. Francisca.
There was a young girl that sent an application that was kind of good. She was like a study manager.
Dave, can we just put them on a conference call and go that route?
I don't know because it should, it's coming to the TV.
What is it?
Francisca.
Should be coming to the TV. I just sent you the screenshot of where they need to call in. So I think they're gonna call in here on the number, on the telephone.
Do they know it yet? So I need to send this to Eddie.
Yes, I got you on the phone. Check. Can you hear me?
They're hanging up.
Speaker, it's to the TV, it should be going to the TV, because you're connected to the TV. Yeah, you're connected to the TV, so it should be coming through. Yep.
Hey, David, can you
So
hear
I
me?
guess we've never tried.
I am steady on the phone line. I'm already on the phone line.
So it should be.
I'm already on the phone line.
I can hear you.
Okay.
He's talking. I mean,
Check, check.
Is that calling on your cell phone?
Yeah, because I really want.
Okay, so this is.
That's right.
And, yeah, particularly in.
I wonder if we need to like hang up and get back in or something.
It's automatically
Same thing?
I know we've had it before, after we started the computer, I don't want to do that. It'll take too long. Yeah, let's talk about it. Call on the phone. That's what I thought you were.
Call him on this phone here?
Yeah.
All right, all right, let's move it over to the middle.
Okay. I'm gonna work on this.
Yeah, but we have two people, that's the thing.
They can all call in.
Oh,
It's a conference. So.
oh, okay, so they're gonna call in. To which one? Not this one?
She's gonna call them.
All right, hold up. Okay.
I'm gonna get in.
Yay.
Hello?
Do you hear a ringtone?
Yes, I hear something.
Oh, my word.
Nice feedback echo there.
Yeah, I need to stop
It's gonna get worse.
Ouch. Can you hear me now?
it. Okay, did you find it? Apparently.
Eddie, I can hear
Okay,
you.
David, I saw you put thumbs up, so you can hear me. All right.
Yay!
So Eddie, what did you
Marvels of
do to,
technology.
Eddie, how did you
So
get that to work? You called that number in the invite?
Yes, call the number and plug in the passcode.
We can hear Erica.
Oh,
Can you? How is that? How do you hear Erica but not me?
y'all can,
We
you
hear
can hear
both
me?
of you. We hear
Eddie?
Eddie and we hear Erica.
I guess Eddie was the problem.
It was Eddie, wasn't it?
Hold on a sec.
Eddie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. So we're back in business. We are on item. What is it?
Okay.
Item K, presentation, update, and general discussion from Freeze and Nichols on the city's comprehensive plan.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. You can still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight. We are certainly excited to be a part of all of the, I call them the planning studies, because we have really three components that we're working with. We're updating the impact fee program. We are preparing a new drainage master plan. And then Erica will argue, most importantly, we're updating the comprehensive plan. So we have several studies that are ongoing, and I'm going to try to share my screen. Oh well, that's okay. It won't let me. But yeah, so we're going to be working with city leadership, with city staff, with an advisory committee for the update of these plans. Most importantly, these are residents and leaders of your community. I'm going to turn it over to Erica here in just a second, but I guess by way of brief introduction, I will be assisting, I'm the principal in charge, and I will be leading the update to the impact fee program. There are several other folks that are going to be leading some of the other task efforts. Previously, I was involved with Porter Ranzis for the update of the impact fee program in 2016 with both Rick and David Parsons. And then in 2007, during the implementation of the impact fee program with a planning director by the name of David Parsons back at the time. So glad to be back and working on the impact fee update. But more importantly, as we delve into other studies, and we're going to be hearing about the planning and the comprehensive plan and the comprehensive plan advisory committee here in just a minute. But with the impact fee program, we're going to be working with the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. That's different from the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. State law requires that we have some representatives from either real estate, building, or development. You currently have 3 to 4 folks on your Planning and Zoning Commission. So your Planning and Zoning Commission will serve as the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee for the impact fee program. Okay, by way of other introductions here, Jim Keith and Sarah West, they're in the Dallas and Corpus Christi offices. They're going to be developing the drainage master plan. Jim is developing, he'll be on the development of the drainage impact fee. He was recently a part of our team in the development of the program over in Portland. He's prepared drainage master plans all across the state, and as well as with state and federal agencies. Sarah West, who will actually lead the development of the master plan, she's over in our Corpus office. She was part of the drainage stormwater management plan. And so that plan, which was recently adopted, ironically said that you need to update or need to prepare an update to the master plan. So she'll be leading that effort. Okay, so with regards to the comprehensive plan, we have Erica Craycraft. And Erica, hopefully we'll be able to hear her in a second. Erica has led the development of more than 20 comprehensive plans across the states, across Texas and across southwestern states. She's currently serving as the project manager for the completion of the Portland comprehensive plan, as well as leadership on that impact fee program. She's familiar with all the regional issues throughout planning projects nearby cities, that including Corpus, Portland, Rockport, Ingleside, Victoria, and Port Lavaca. So she's had a lot of work in close by cities. So we feel that she's very knowledgeable in some of the key issues affecting coastal communities, as well as best practices and emerging trends. So she's got a wide level of planning expertise, including comprehensive plans, zoning and subdivision regulations, growth management plans, special area plans. So I'm going to turn it over to Erica to highlight a little bit about the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. That this committee is going to be important in as kind of an ambassador and a leader for the comprehensive plan. So all of these studies are going to be running concurrently, and a lot of the work that Erica generates as part of the comp plan we'll be using for impact fees. Drainage folks will be using for some of the projections for the drainage by way of growth and development. So Erica, I'll turn it over to you, and you could share a little bit about the capital improvement of the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee.
All right, thanks, Eddie, and good evening, everyone. As Eddie mentioned, my name is Erica Craycraft, also with Fries & Nichols, and I'll be leading the consultant team's comprehensive plan efforts. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about the steering committee that we would like to be working with as we develop the plan. So as we are developing the plan, we usually work really closely with a steering committee that is made up of a diverse and very fair group of citizens. And the purpose of this committee is to make sure that the process is community driven and that the plan belongs to the Port Aransas community. It doesn't belong to city staff. It doesn't belong to us as consultants. It truly is the community's plan. So the committee is usually referred to as a Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, or CPAC for short. And that committee is usually between about 8 and 13 members who each represent different groups within the community. So that can be groups like City Council, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the business community, and of course, residents. I mentioned that the CPAC should be a diverse group of people who can represent Port Aransas as a whole and to help us to balance differing interests. And without this balance of interests being reflected in both the group and in the plan, the resulting comprehensive plan may not be embraced by the future leaders in the community. And that puts the plan at risk of not being used or eventually being replaced by future leaders. So in addition to the expense the city is undergoing to develop the plan, the city and the CPAC and also community members in general will be dedicating a lot of their time and effort to the plan's development. And once that happens, it's difficult to re-engage a community and get the same level of enthusiasm if the plan isn't successful the first time around. So we do ask that the CPAC members who are appointed that they be strongly committed to attending the meetings and actively participating in them. There would be 6 meetings over the next 12 to 14 months or so. And we ask that they be willing to review information that would be provided to them prior to attending the meetings so we can have meaningful discussions whenever we do meet. Part of their role as the CPAC is to serve as a sounding board for the plan's goals and recommendations. So that's part of the reason why their active participation is really critical to the process. If we aren't able to get strong participation from the committee members, we may need to look at appointing some alternate members to make sure that we can keep the process moving along. Also, we do ask that the CPAC members serve as ambassadors to the planning process. And what that means is helping us to get the word out to the community about the plan process and specifically to encourage participation community-wide in any outreach events. So we see this ambassador role as equally important as being a sounding board in that they are helping us to be sure that the entire community is represented in the city's plan for the long-term growth and development of the city. Ultimately, once we get to near the end of the process, we'll be asking the CPAC to provide a recommendation in support of the plan. So it could then move forward to the public hearing process with the Planning and Zoning Commission and eventually City Council for adoption consideration. So we certainly look forward to meeting with the CPAC and working with them starting next month, planned for the week of February 22nd as we kick off the planning process. So with that, be happy to address any questions that you might have or provide any information that you might have about the CPAC's role or the process in general. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Erica. And if there's any other questions regarding the impact fee program or the drainage master plan, I can answer on those.
So I know Corpus just, or is in the process of adopting a drainage plan based on the amount of water that flows off the property. Is that something that we're going to consider, or is that something slightly different?
So I had a hard time hearing the question, but I think I heard you asking about water shedding
At their new
across
tax.
property lines.
Yeah,
Tim asked, Corpus has a new water runoff tax, and we were talking today about with the Episcopal Conference Center down the road got hit with a pretty hefty fee. So they have a new tax that calculates your pervious service versus impervious, and you get a bill. So his question was, what's the difference between that and the way we're doing our impact fee?
So there's kind of two key differences. One, I hear a monthly bill, so that implies it's some kind of user fee. So that's dealing with O&M, operations and maintenance.
It's a monthly bill.
And versus an impact fee, which is a one-time charge for capital cost of new drainage facilities that are identified on a specific impact fee drainage plan. So there'll be an impact fee drainage CIP, and monies collected for impact fees can only be used to fuel those projects. So
I understand
that's capital cost.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is it's something that we should consider, something similar to what, I mean, besides doing the impact fee, also doing something similar to what Corpus is doing.
Stormwater utility, yeah. And that addresses the ongoing O&M. But our challenge or our task right now is develop the master plan, get the impact fee in place for the drainage. Then as a subsequent consideration, dealing with O&M, perhaps a user fee may come into play or further discussed by you all.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had a question for Erica. Can she hear me?
Yes, I can.
When will the boards meet, or the people that are going to be, I guess, on these advisory groups? When will they begin meeting?
The advisory committee will begin meeting. The first meeting is February 22nd. And we have actually 3 meetings scheduled all in 1 week. So on Tuesday, February 22nd, we would meet with the CPAC, that's the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. We would meet with them on a Tuesday evening. probably at City Hall. And then on Wednesday, February 23rd, the next evening, we would have our first open house event that we expect will be at the community center. And then the following night, Thursday, February 24th, would be the second CBAC meeting.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I'm saying.
And then to kind of follow on that, we have targeted general dates of when we'll be meeting. That's one of the questions we will be asking the CPAC for future meetings. What's the best day to meet? Is it a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday? So we'll get some direction from them so we can get those put in stone for the remainder of the process.
Thank you.
Hey, Erica, would you also touch on the virtual plans and how to be able to reach out to those folks that may not actually be able to physically attend the meeting? Would you kind of go over that a little bit?
Sure, I can do that. We will be rolling out a website very soon that will have all of the information available for anyone who wants to get on and check any of the meeting dates, but also an opportunity for them to participate. So for example, the first open house that we are planning for February 23rd, there'll be a virtual parallel activity that will allow them to provide the same input as if they had attended in person. And we plan to have that available for probably 2 weeks. We're looking at a time frame of February 14th through the 28th tentatively for the virtual option. So folks will be welcome to participate either in person or online for all 3 of the planned open house events.
Okay, sounds good.
Erica, briefly, could you highlight the key elements that will be addressed in the comprehensive plan, and then I'll highlight some of the impact fee elements?
Sure. Generally, just as background information for what a comprehensive plan is, it's the city's long-range plan, and it's looking at a vision and planning horizon for 10 to 20 years or even beyond. And the plan is built on community input, and it provides the guidance for capital improvement spending, zoning decisions, and other development-related decisions. But specifically, we're looking at land use, housing, community character, public facilities and services, transportation, and infrastructure.
Perfect. And then some of the work that Erica is developing as it relates to the land use and population projections, we're going to be taking that information and using the 10-year projection as part of the impact fee land use assumptions, which will then inform capital improvements projects. So the impact fee program will specifically address roads. That's what's been in place since '07, and same with parks. And then we'll be adding the new component, the drainage, based on the results of the master drainage plan.
We're ready to go.
Yes, we are ready to go. We are really excited to be back working with you all in Port Aransas, and so we're really looking forward to the first set of meetings in February.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, and by the way, I did coordinate with Colleen Simpson. The master parks plan process is underway. So we are already coordinating with the consultant that's developing that master plan so that the CIP that the master parks plan generates, we'll be bringing that into the impact fee CIP for parks. So we've got a lot of things going on in the background already.
And real quick, just to, Rick, what we've generated since 2009 in impact fees is a pretty interesting number. Rick, do you have those numbers?
I was going to hit when we got to the impact fee deal.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, we're going to do impact fees later, so.
David, do you and Rick have a list of items that you want to put in the comprehensive plan? A lot of times we discuss things that the city council would like to change, and we said, oh, we'll wait for the comprehensive plan.
We do have a big list. Mainly, but a lot of this list is going to come from you guys.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have more.
What?
We have a lot of what's the term called, housekeeping stuff that we've need to fix for a long time, but really you guys are going to be generating.
Do you have a list of that? Can you generate that and send it to us? I mean,
yeah.
Those are some memories. And also, where can we communicate that as a council legally?
we have an email.
We set up a separate email comp plan
I got that.
2022. So, but I think as we get into the first meetings, Teresa Nichols is going to have a central location for a lot of those exchanges.
And they'll all be televised and out, so it'll be legal for council to be there, no open meetings, access.
Oh, yeah.
They'll still be subject to quorum requirements and those other things.
They're all in there.
Well, I think you're supposed to notice that there's a quorum present, and then even if it doesn't show up, you're still good.
Yeah.
You're not making any decisions, and I think Rand's the expert, but I think that's kind of that's the basic premise. You're not there to make decisions, information.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's good. And,
All right, what's,
Thank you, looking forward.
all right, Dave.
we're all looking forward to it.
We're still on, we're still on item L, correct?
Okay.
Oh, we're still on,
Yeah, that was where we.
oh, that's right. Okay, we're still on K. So do we, Eddie, are we ready to move on to the creation of the CPAC group?
I think we are. We're kind of done with our
Yeah, let's keep
overview
moving.
presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to keep moving. So Joan, let's move to item L.
Creating an ad hoc comprehensive plan action committee, appointing members to said ad hoc committee, and setting effective dates.
I only just want to add the input. What I handed out to you were the 6 folks that had actually replied to us.
Through our newspaper ad.
Or just contacted us directly. So I just wanted you to have those. Those were the only ones. And I never heard, Charles, we had the one young lady, Elvia, the one that shows on your list at large, had submitted interest and a resume. I never heard back. Charles had talked about her.
Yeah, we didn't confirm it. So what we're looking for is 13 people. We need each of you need to submit your pick, right? Can be any citizen. Then we already have a chamber person that I think it's Brett. And then the PAISD, and then you guys need to also select 2 P&Z members. So you each need to do your one, and then you guys do your 2 P&Zs, and then that's the 13 person group.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you said that, right? So our pick, our individual pick is guaranteed, but then we vote on the P and Z since there's 3.
And I forgot 2 council members.
2 council members.
Right. Two. You guys got to pick 2 amongst yourselves. And then the other 2 are going to go to Parks and Rec. So, and we were thinking that those two and 2 should probably be the 4 sitting versus the ones that are terming out. Right. So
I'd like to.
So let's do the 7 individuals first.
Okay.
Everyone throw out there.
All right. Carolyn McCabe.
Okay. So are you writing these down? Okay. Tim is Carolyn McCabe.
You waiting on me?
Yes, go ahead.
Mary Goldsmith.
Okay, Mary Goldsmith. Okay, Tina. Bobby Edwards. David.
I'll go with Roger.
Okay, Roger Howers. All right, Joan.
I'm doing one for the mayor. And that's Cherie Steins.
Oh, good.
HERRISTUNZ. And for me, I'm going to volunteer myself. I want to be in it.
So is that, I mean, just, I want you to be on there, but I want to make sure that.
Yeah, this is just you guys making the group. There's no rule.
Okay, that's why I make sure.
There's no like state law or anything.
Okay, that's why I make sure there wasn't.
Yeah.
I want
Bruce.
you to be on there, trust me. I know, but I want you to be on there, but I just make sure we're going to cause a problem.
Bruce.
And I'm going to nominate Rob Clark.
All right, Rob Clark.
Who? Rob Clark?
Okay, so that's 7. Now we need, let's do the two council members. Do we have a nomination for council?
I nominate myself.
Okay, so, all right, so it's Joe Ellen and Tim. And then you guys will go Parks and Rec, which we didn't have to vote on. We'll just, okay. And then now all we need is two P and Z. Two P and Zs. So everyone throw out two and we'll write them down and see if anyone floats to the top.
Chad and Marty.
Okay, Chad and Marty. Okay, Joan.
Oh, there are, here, right, there's three, there's Marty Phelan, two of them.
Leslie, Marty, and Chad.
Oh, that's the only three that wanted, okay.
That's the only one.
So there's only three.
And I only got 2 emails from 2 of them. Three.
There's three, Leslie, Chad, and Marty.
I would say Leslie and Marty.
Leslie and Marty. All right, David.
Leslie and Marty.
Leslie, Marty. All right, Tina. Leslie, Marty.
Me too.
Joellen. Tim. All right, so it's Leslie and Marty from P and Z. And then we got, okay, so that's it, guys. So we got, it's Brett from the chamber. We do not know who our school person is yet.
Sharon said she'll leave her on there.
Okay, so for now.
Her designee.
Okay, Sharon or her designee, Joellen and Tim from council, and then the citizen, Carol McCabe, Mary Goldsmith, Bobby Edwards, Roger Power, Cherie Stuns, Joan Holt, Rob Clark. How's that, you guys?
That sounds fantastic. If we can just get that list and their contact information, we'll be able to start blasting information to them.
Yeah, if you guys could help with contact information, just shoot Fran your person's phone number or whatever you got.
If anyone changes their mind, what we do
You mean one of your designees? You just give us a new one.
Okay. Please indicate the commitment part.
Yeah,
I've spoken to mine.
Yeah.
I made it very clear.
No shows become kind of problematic. Let them know. Very good point.
And so will they need to be here? What was the date?
We're gonna get them the schedule as soon as we get their contact. We're sending out the schedule. Correct. Yes, sir. 12 to 18 months of fun.
18.
A lot of work to be done.
Yes.
Oh, that's an act. Okay.
I think most of the privilege that they have.
Okay.
Second.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and resolution.
Oh, excuse me. Before we leave that, the other part of that handout I gave you was the naming and the branding. Need a name and a brand for this thing. So there was a starting point.
Shouldn't that be for the committee?
This is your plan. You've already got about 14 names. Like I said, we need to have that really before the first committee meeting.
Yeah, it needs to be.
So unless you direct me otherwise, my plan was to send it out to you and the P and Z members, and winner takes all on the vote. And we'll do it as a reveal just to add a little fun to the first kickoff meeting on the 22nd. We'll reveal whatever the.
Hey, mine's not on there.
What's yours, Dave?
Mine was
Dave's plan 2020.
Yeah, no, mine was 2022 moving forward with the past.
You didn't.
Yeah. What? Did you like it?
I like it, but you did submit it in writing. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I submitted my candidate in writing and it wasn't on here.
All right, fine.
So what do you want us to do? You want to follow the instructions?
No, just any other names, just a name.
Yeah, we just need a name of the. Yeah.
Send me, pick one of these, send me
All
your
right.
phone by Tuesday, and I'm gonna send out a survey to you and DMZ.
All right, let's go. All right, let's go to M, Joan.
Okay.
Keep moving.
Update to the current impact fee program, adding a new impact fee for drainage improvements, affirming the city's planning and zoning commission as the capital improvements advisory committee for the purposes of advising the city council on updates to the city's impact fee program for parks, drainage, and roadways, and providing a recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. So as part of our impact fee study, Texas Local Government Code requires that we assign a capital improvements advisory committees. Yeah, a lot of acronyms tonight.
Yeah.
We had previously, council had previously felt that planning and zoning was the appropriate body to serve in that capacity. We agreed absolutely that is very often the way it is done. Texas Local Government Code goes on to say that whoever's on the capital improvement committee, and you consultants correct me if I get something wrong here, guys, but also requires that capital improvement committee have at least one person from the builder developer community. That's state law. Obviously, planning and zoning has that, so it's the perfect person. So the motion or the action that we're asking for, if you're in agreement, is that we reaffirm planning and zoning serve in that capacity. They already are that designated group. And of course, the motion also does give us affirmative direction to move forward with the impact fee update and add the drainage impact.
So would this be part of their regular meeting, or would they have a separate meeting?
This is a separate meeting.
Okay.
And it isn't very time intensive. A couple of meetings. There's a public hearing.
So I mean,
but this is a good example where it's a data driven process, which is why our consultant will do the data, the traffic counts and come up with the different land uses that they'll develop based on what their observations and expertise is. The Capital Improvement Advisory Committee will advise, take that information, and then make recommendations to you.
You get a motion, provided you give us the information about the tax revenue collected for impact fee.
I will.
Yeah.
So we felt that was important, but just to give you an idea, starting in 2010, the capital impact fee program is broken down into essentially 3 zones. We'll throw Harbor Island in there, but get rid of it right away because there's no capital improvement projects that were planned for or have been planned for Harbor Island. So it's a zero impact area. Then zone 1 and 2. So zone 1 goes right up to the south boundary of Cinnamon Shore North. So that south boundary of coincidentally about where this road you're talking about.
No, that's in the next zone.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right up to that road.
Yeah.
So that and everything south is in zone 2, which up until recently in the last few years haven't really had a lot of development in that direction. So zone 1, for example, from in the last 10 years, has generated about $3,005,000 in impact fees. Darla got this for us, so thank you, Darla, for putting this together quickly. Does that include the parks, or is this just roadway use?
That's just roadway. That's just impact fees on 1 and 2.
Right. So that's just roadway use. There's a significant amount also that in these impact fees that went to our parks programs and used to enhance our parks. The bulk of these funds is what paid down our bond debt for all our road improvements that we've done over the years.
Right, 11th Street, the 2016 street and drainage bonds, 2009, 2007. So we're paying all those down with this funds.
Sorry, there's zone 1 and 2. Or
So that's zone 1. So zone 2, really we saw no money starting to come in until 2015-16. That's when we first started seeing the development happen out there. But in those 5 years, 64,000, around 64.5 has been generated in impact fees, and obviously that's going to grow. Now remember, the impact fees are based on what we identify as enhancement projects in those areas. So that'll be a big part of what Eddie and his team will help us do, along with us, along with you, looking for where we need new roads. All of this is for enhancement. It's not, can't use it for repairing potholes. But we can use it for widening streets, paving streets that have. thus far
Anything that
not been
improves capacity.
correct. So, but that sum total then becomes the basis of how we, in anticipated growth, a lot of data, is how that per unit capital impact fee is derived. And the same thing with the parks. So look at that, what Colleen and her advisory board has in mind, like a splash pad, or something like that that's going to cost. So all those items will be looked at, and then the anticipated number of units that we put in the next 5 years. And that's how that per unit cost will be done. Pretty good, Eddie. Is that reasonably correct?
I'm sorry, say that last one again, Rick.
Just not. Just not.
Was Rick correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So our ordinance says every 5 years. So we're right at.
Created in 09, 010, updated in 16, and then here we are in 22.
I make a motion that we appoint the planning zone. Make a motion we appoint planning zoning committee as the capital improvement steering committee.
And Bruce, that's a two-part, and that you approve moving forward with the update.
And moving forward with the update, sorry. Okay, all the same.
Thanks.
A second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Ready for N? General discussion on citywide potholes. street repair.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are certainly looking forward to seeing you all in February, and hopefully we'll have a big turnout for the open house. So please spread the word so we get as many folks out there for the town hall on Wednesday, the 23rd. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then looking forward to meeting the CPAC on the 22nd and then on the 24th again. So thank you. And
thanks, Erica. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Good evening.
Oh, yeah. And they do all this stuff.
They do all.
Yeah. It's turnkey.
And that's the example flyer I gave you.
Right.
They'll use.
But they take care of all that.
Yeah.
Advertising and stuff. Or
Okay. We'll have to tell them the venues.
Okay.
Okay, let's go with this pothole. Urban engineering.
All right, potholes. You guys can leave.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Yeah, come on up, Jim.
Hi, y'all.
Jim Urban.
I put a quick letter together. David asked me to talk to y'all tonight just about kind of the goings on with the street system. The city of Port Aransas has done a really good job over the many years of rebuilding the roads and maintaining them. We've had a pretty good program to do that. Probably, I think we had 2 or 3 bond issues or that, and did some major reconstruction of the roads. And prior to Hurricane Harvey, there were a few places, but for the most part, Corpus Christi is in really good shape. And we had Hurricane Harvey come in, and we had a lot of truck traffic and a lot of water. We had a lot of rain during the storm and the flooding, but a lot of high groundwater. So we started seeing these problems like the intersection of Alistair and Cotter there and running down Alistair a bit. You start seeing that road unraveling, seeing more chug holes. And for the, what is it now, 4.5 years or something, we've been working with FEMA to try to get funds to fix all of it. We spent a lot of time, many days and weeks with people from FEMA looking at every pothole and saying, is this caused by the storm or not, identifying all those. And we haven't fixed them. We haven't done any maintenance at all in 4 years. And so it's just kind of, I think we've been, disrepair for 4 years while we were trying to get the money from FEMA. That Michael's not here. That's not really my job to get.
No, he's going to give a street up. He'll cover it also, but
anyway, we've been fighting with FEMA through the Broadus Group to try to get that money. And I can't speak to whether or not we ultimately will get it or not. I don't remember what the number was they had, but it was several $1 million worth of repairs that we were asking for. But we're at a point now where 2 things are happening. One is it's an inconvenience to the public because it's rough roads and it's not normal what we would normally be used to driving on. But you also have deterioration instead of where you might be able to do minor fixes, it ends up being a pretty major where you might lose part of the asset if you don't go do repairs, like anything. So David reached out to me and said, hey, what do you think is the best way to go about this? Well, if we have funds available in our street program that we can spend, what we can do, we've identified all these potholes, and we'll probably go update it just to make sure, but we don't have enough money, I would think, to do it all. But if you could, allocate $400,000 towards pothole repair and street repair, then what I would say is we would probably solicit from the council where y'all think the worst areas are. I would hope y'all would look at areas that have the highest traveled areas, not, maybe, Allister and Cotter, where you get a lot of traffic, and some of these major collectors around town are the ones I would probably pick. But it'd really be input from y'all where y'all think, hey, Jim, take a look at this, take a look at this, and I'll comprise a kind of a priority list, and then, give you a cost estimate. We can do all the way through these streets within the budget that you have.
So let me ask a couple of questions here. So I know we looked at a list that you would come up with.
Yeah. Our public works created a list, but almost everything on their list is on the FEMA list.
So here's my question. Based on that, do we feel we have sufficient funds to do?
We have 463,000 in the street maintenance fund.
Okay.
Rough, give or take.
It's actually at 464.
What is it?
464.
464.
So Mike, real quick question. Is this stuff sufficiently documented that we could, in theory, go put out a $4 million bond, fix the streets ourselves, and then if FEMA pays us, pay that bond off?
You definitely can pay the bond off. You can't pay the interest on the bond or any of the maturity or anything that will go along with it. There is a bill on the floor to reverse that decision. But you can do it now. It's identified. We related to the storm. Jim Irvin's report is 376 sites. Don't hold me to that number.
Yeah,
It's up there around 400.
It seems like we're almost getting to the point where it just better just
to get this taken care of.
We're talking about you're gonna have to bond it. That's gonna be
Well,
a $4 million bond problem.
Yeah, and with that, we would have to do a bond election, and that would be.
That's to get after the budget for the spring.
But we could, at this point, we could at least get the worst stuff taken care of with.
Yeah, you could target the 464K for phase one.
Right. At least because we need to do something, because it's getting progressively
You're gonna
worse.
find that like we have 300 potholes and 400 Ks and get you 30, 40 of them maybe.
I didn't go through and try to look at the list and assign dollars to it because I didn't know whether the council would support spending 100,000 or 50,000 or 4 million. But if y'all are interested in moving forward and trying to do that 400,000 target, we can look at what Public Works has and circulate that list. If anybody else has hot buttons, hey, we need to go here, or this is more important, we'll get that list together and see if it fits within that dollar amount. I will tell you, things have been bidding fairly expensive these days because asphalt's up higher because of fuel and inflation's hitting everything. So things are pretty expensive. I don't know what's going to happen in the next year or two, but
It's probably not gonna get cheaper. And I also know that, like you said, as the roads get further and further along, they get more and more, and the cost goes like this to like this.
And interest rates go up on bonds over time too.
Well, if you lock it in now, yeah.
I want to say one thing about the bond payment. That's basically what we did with the marina. If you remember, we issued the bonds and then we got FEMA money back, which we know we're going to pay it back. But you cannot pay it back till it's callable. So you've got several months, years of interest before you can pay. You can't just pay the bond off.
So what we say
You can't
callable, what time frame are we looking at?
Depends.
The marina was 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
Marina
so
was 7 years, and that's pretty typical. I think there's anything
About
less than
7 years.
And the one we did tonight,
15.
it's not callable till 15. I just took it back to my office, so it's going to be on there.
Well, it's a 15-year note. The callable
The
on that
callable's
is
less
probably
than
7.
7, I think it was 7.
It's usually around half.
Yeah. Yeah, it is usually around half. I just want you to know your bonds are going to stay on your book for probably at least 7 years.
And we have to just pay the interest. We can't use
you should have some money. I mean, if you get your FEMA money in, you'll get, I mean, your money will be sitting there and defeasing some of that interest, but you'll still depend on the spread between.
Fran, are we beyond the date for a bond election at the May election? If we did a street bond?
I mean, I don't know if you're gonna get them all assigned and done before in May, but.
We've already, well, here's that. I mean, we already have Mike, we already have the FEMA street, the entire street thing is how much?
I want to say we're just shy of 10 million. With
Oh, that's the entire-
mitigation and everything.
Right.
So you're about
No.
You were about 5 or 6. It's been a while, almost.
So Jim has the full set of construction docs that, I mean, not 100% construction docs, but he's got maps of the whole city that have already identified every pothole and I mean, these things, we're talking, maybe some of them are 3x3, some of them are like, 100 yards of 11th Street. It's a patching network of all the damage in the entire city. So we already have almost everything identified unless it's unraveled in the last year, probably. So, we could move forward. I mean, if you guys wanted to do
I mean, so
I say go ahead and do something.
yeah, let's use this. Let's use the 464,000.
You think, what's the stretching that?
Well, no, we wouldn't need to do anything with bond counsel at this point because we're just.
I think you have to have some resolution that you have to do before you.
So we would have to have another meeting.
Well, I think,
well, so there's actually two separate things going on here, right? So,
yeah.
So one, we need to say, okay, let's take and use that 464,000.
Yeah, that could be step one.
So I motion to use a 464,000 to look at repair the worst of the worst.
Right.
As determined by urban engineer.
And council.
Yeah, we would get you a list of suggestions from between what staff, what maintenance staff and what we think, get it to y'all, and then y'all say.
I would second that.
And then maybe what we do is target a November election for a larger
So
street bond.
we're not pushing it so quick.
Okay.
I mean, I'd feel.
At least go through with that. I'll second it.
Because then that would be something you guys would choose and select at the upcoming budget, summer budget. Yeah.
What about all the developers and builders when they cut a trench across the streets and they don't fix it back right?
Yeah, typically what we do is that they cut it and then it sits for a year or so.
Okay.
And then we go back and hit them up for
Do we have that
repair.
list?
It depends on who it is. Now, some of those are water districts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Water, some of them are ours, some of them are gas.
Right.
Some
of them are.
It's been
Yeah.
forever
Other people
a
that have to
problem.
connect.
Yeah, like some are like, there's a couple on Alistair that are recent cuts that we need to hit, we could.
Says we don't do motion. Go ahead.
Oh, we can't make a motion right now. Right. So what we'll do is we'll come back to you guys with, in February with, and we'll be working over the next month to tap into this 464.
So, I mean, I'd like,
And then you guys give me, if you guys have some on streets, shoot them to us and,
For y'all, if we get it to David, he'll add it to that list and we'll feed that together.
Yeah.
My only 2 cents, if I would try and push it, any possibility. You guys think it's totally ludicrous to try? I agree. I mean, things are not getting cheaper.
no, it would be a real stretch, Dave, to get that to you guys by the May election. But let's start with this 460.
Thank you.
because at least this will get, hopefully begin the process.
Yeah. All right, Jim, you're still up because the next item,
Is.
Parking lot.
the parking lot. Do you have your,
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
my young engineer present this since he's more familiar, but I'll start with it. And if I have questions, I'll ask him. We got a request to do this parking lot, which is, y'all know where we're, does everybody know where we're talking about over here?
Yeah.
And David provided me kind of a general layout, and we've done a few changes to it. But for the most part, is this in y'all's packet? Do they have that?
It is, and there's both versions, Jim. There's the asphalt version, and then there's the.
You know, I just wanted, it's higher than I would have thought because asphalt prices are really high. Things are really high right now. So if we'd have done this 5 years ago or 3 years ago, it's probably half of that on both of these. But it's just, everything is up high. And this may be higher than what it is, but I'm trying to just throw the numbers out based on what things are bidding like right now. It's pretty straightforward. The asphalt, there's a storm sewer. We've got kind of property all around us, so we don't want to drain to the adjacent property. Drainage goes to the street out there, along there on Port Street, and then there's the drainage that goes out from that way. So we've got a storm sewer in the middle that picks it up, and asphalt pavement that comes back. You know, anytime you do anything today, you've got to do, you know, ADA parking, and you've got to have accessible routes, and we've got all that kind of figured in here. In the estimate, there's some things in here that y'all may not care about, but we put them in just to see what they are. There's some lighting in here. There's some landscaping in here.
What's an LS unit?
Under site electrical improvements.
Oh, lump sum.
Yeah, that the difference is if you're bidding something, you can do it by a linear foot, by a square yard, or by a lump sum. Meaning, like on a lighting, we wouldn't know how many a light fixture and a pole and that. We really aren't at this point even have a design. We're just throwing an amount out there and saying, you know, $1 amount for lighting.
Well, I don't understand why 1 gallon red bucket is $4,000.
Now,
What does that mean?
It means it's just lump sum. We're putting $4,000 for landscaping. You'd be surprised what it is to get a real landscaper out. We were doing the park out here, and we got about $20,000 like that.
Yeah, we'd have to meet our landscaping ordinance. Yeah. No. Yes. Yeah, with John.
It seems like it's asphalt. It's
So
expensive, and it.
They're 3 foot on center, those yuccas. I got a quote from the landscape for that.
Okay, so, yeah. So, he knows, he did go and talk to him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want the flowers, but I just
But
didn't.
concrete, I will look, but you may be right at this point that concrete may be.
It's gonna last a lot longer. And I will tell you that with the crushed concrete, if you're parking the boat or anything long-term, you can get rust out there.
Well, this is not intended to be long-term.
Well, I mean, but.
You know, I want to mention that with concrete, you have the least amount of maintenance. With asphalt, you probably, you know, we don't do that much maintenance on our road, maybe 5 or 10 years before we do anything. But on crushed concrete, the problems associated with it are going to be it's impossible to strike. So the only way you have to guide people where to park is we put down curb stops, and you think people go like, okay, there's a curb stop, I'll pull in there. But if there's nothing out there, people will always, you know, park 2 foot over, and that'll mess up. So you don't get as efficient a parking when you don't have striping.
So is this permeable concrete or porous concrete that you're talking about?
No, this is just crushed concrete, like.
But it
is permeable.
It's permeable.
Not crushed cement.
It's permeable. It's
Well,
not.
I read that it wasn't. It just gets real solid and
It
becomes
got down the water,
packed
so
down.
you can solve the water so close to it.
Concrete itself is permeable. It's just not as permeable as other kinds of things. It's more permeable than asphalt. But, you know, we did some pavers, permeable pavers out in the middle of the parking lot. And this last thing, we know we paid a square yard for those.
There's 3,800 each. We're talking about 20.
Do a quick calculation, but.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen them, go look at them. They're really, really
But we
neat
put the
looking.
Permeable pavers, and we looked at that. David, I think, talked to us initially. You know, I think those are the balancing act. You know, concrete's least permeable, asphalt has, crushed concrete, more permeable, and then you go into permeable pavers or permeable concrete, which are going to be, you know, more expensive yet. So I think.
Jim, that parking lot, I'm sorry, Jim.
Go ahead.
That parking lot at where Coaches is, they put that parking lot on the end right across from Turpin Inn. I think that's what that is. And then they just have the.
Yeah.
Oh, and they just have the curb stops.
Yeah. And that seems to work.
Was that crushed concrete or was that decomposed granite?
Is that granite or concrete?
Is it the one over there?
Across from Tarpon.
Yeah, that's just crushed concrete.
Oh, it's crushed
Very
concrete.
similar.
Yeah, it works. I mean,
Yeah, I think the long-term issue for you, what's the Presbyterian place out there on the island, that mid-island of Greenland? They went with crushed concrete because it was permeable and everything. And, it takes maintenance because it does rot and you have to maintain it, but that's the trade-off that you have. So
dump truck every 2 years.
We're just trying to see how
But
this
it's,
works.
you're saving $240,000.
So there's kind of a view, Joan, of the one that they built over
you can see the yellow parking bump.
next to Coaches, and and it's not bad. I mean, there's no striping in there, but they have the curb stops and people are generally parking where they should be.
That other one's a good example where somebody pulled in there in that area and they don't, people don't pay attention.
They don't pay attention even if there's stripes.
Stripes too, but
I will tell you, the more use it gets, the more it ruts very quickly.
Yeah. And more turning movements you have on it. So, it's up to y'all, whatever y'all want to do. It makes no difference to me. I'm here presenting this and we can get you a price for what it'd be for like the pavers. Has anybody looked out there at what we put in out there?
Yeah.
In the parking lot and
Picture that quick, I have not.
They're not going to be on this.
Yeah.
They're brand new. But what we did was, I think we went in and cut out these.
Yeah.
Are they 40 by 40s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big are they?
We came in
Oh, 20 by
on
20.
And we cut out like a 40 by 40
Yeah.
and put permeable papers.
I think it's 20 by
drains
20.
Under drains back into the inlets, just to kind of pick up some of the oils and grease and or stuff on there, and you can see what they look like.
So they look like these. We cut in these squares.
Yeah, and they're pretty good, but I would suspect they're fairly expensive compared to any of our options. I can look at that.
But also, this was kind of like, we're trying to do a parking lot for overflow for STRs
Yeah.
to see if that really works.
Works,
or
yeah.
what's gonna happen.
The one thing about this, one thing about the crushed concrete, if you put it in and it becomes a maintenance problem for you
You've got the base there to.
Yeah, it basically is road based. You could come back and put, asphalt on top of it or pavers. or
So
whatever.
It's not as permanent as a.
Right. So.
Yeah.
So there's a psychological.
No, go ahead, Bruce.
There's a psychological thing of, I'm going to go park my car, leave it on a bunch of crushed concrete, where I'm going to go park in what people consider a real parking lot. And I think it's just, and it depends on what you're going to do. And it's kind of like, what do you do with it? Is it going to be there for cars to park long-term, park boats, or is it just there for, like, if you're going to have a big convention here at the Civic Hall and people can park there for 2 or 3 hours, they don't care about it. It's on
So basically what came out of our STR groups was that the city has no designated parking for, if you have, if the STR you're at only has parking for 3 and you brought 6 vehicles, they've requested that we add some city parking, which this property fits that. It's,
It's experiment, I guess.
Right.
Well, I don't disagree with the whole concept. I just think that in everything permeable, I understand, but the kind of half-assed it and just like, oh, we're gonna make a big crushed concrete to see if it works. People can be like, I'm not gonna leave my car there. Where if you go to like a real parking lot, like people leave their cars in my parking lot all the time because it's lit.
They'll leave it there or they'll take it across the ferry. Somewhere. I don't know where they're gonna take it, or I don't know.
It could be when you have events like we have on the beach and the rest, this is the place you drop off cars and shuttle people in.
Yeah.
4th of July and fireworks. Stuff.
Yeah, Civic Center, large events. It could hold a bunch of uses.
So to move forward here, do we need to, motion which option so let's say I motion which one.
Or ask for a third one if you want to look at the pavers. It's kind of money too.
Right. Well, no,
the pavers is going to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah, well.
Yes, it is.
Well,
do you want us to come back with a paver version?
Yes, but I'd also like to come back to just a concrete version and see what, because I think they're going to find.
Just a plain.
No, but they can put.
Joan, if you could, before the next meeting, go look out there and see if we could, I know the issue when you have no rain for a long time, and you have vehicles dripping on this and all the rest on your asphalt, this, what they call the first flush is what you're trying to prevent going in your waterway. So we can provide an area to trap that, similar to what we did out there. That might be a compromise where you could do concrete or asphalt and then do.
Oh, yeah, right. So you do maybe a concrete or asphalt parking lot, but you have all these
40 by 40.
You have 6 or 8 of these things that you're draining to. Then it goes through there, percolates, gets cleaned up, then it goes out the drain. So,
Sometimes, like, I don't know if it'll work on this one, but what I've seen too is like where you have head-in parking and you have 2 cars, and a lot of times in parking lots, it's just a stripe or they'll have a curb. But if you design it for that, you can leave that where it's a vegetated strip and drain there where it comes through and runs across grass and fix that out. So there are ways to do it. It's just, we've never put a lot of emphasis or been willing to spend the money. And it's clearly in the focus of the town now to do that.
Right.
If y'all want to do it, we can give you options on that.
I'd like to motion that
we make one, I'm just gonna ask the questions. I don't think we need a motion. No action.
well, okay, so how do we tell him then? that we-
Just ask him.
We just ask, okay.
yeah, just direct them to come back with a couple paving
Okay.
options.
So come back with some additional options, including the permeable pavers.
Yeah, okay.
And then,
Yeah.
And I don't see the price of.
And then we'll bring that back as an action item.
Okay.
Okay.
Was there a traffic study done or any needed? Am I the only one that's worried about that?
No, we need to.
There will be one done in the transportation portion of the comp plan. They will be doing
This to the traffic, I guess would be my point. The folks back there are already complaining about it.
They're all.
you could fit 5,000 more homes down that street. And never, I mean, that right there, that's a major arterial. I mean, if you sat there, Dave, and watched that intersection, cars coming down Port Street, I bet it's a car
Okay.
every couple minutes, which isn't much.
We don't think so, that's fine.
Yeah.
That was a big discussion a long time ago when y'all were gonna do the ferry, change the ferry line and all that. So is it a lot of traffic for you to get in and out? I mean.
Port Street, of course, obviously during the high period, it's crazy, right? I mean, but once you maneuver past the ferry entrance, the traffic is not horrible. It's been crazy right now because of all the works that's been done between AEP doing the transmission lines and that new boat barn going in, and now the new RV park is going in. And so, I mean, that would be a concern in my opinion is, what kind of additional density will that RV park put in?
Yeah.
There are 2, I mean, both of us are long-term residential neighbors. Port Street subdivision is all long-term, no short-term rental, but it's still 150 homes. And then, ours is long-term as well.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that go to Charles Pasture every day.
Every time I've driven down there and I come back on Port Street and I hit that light, I'm there by myself.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
You're not like 10 deep.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, and where are you in the light? First? Yeah, ever behind anyone?
Maybe, it depends if I'm going straight or turning.
Yeah,
There's a
usually.
history of a problem there before the light and that changing of that, where you had to cut through the line to get in when Port Street came out there behind the 7-Eleven stripes or whatever. That was murderous, and there were fights almost in there to get people to let you through both ways.
And this is
the
just
lights
an
and
open access
control
then too. It's no meter.
No, this is open access.
Anybody can park there as long as they want.
Well, I mean, we might have to.
Put signs over 48 hours.
Yeah, like it's limited to, 3-day maximum.
You don't want people leaving their boats there for 6 months while they go back to Minnesota.
Is lighting important to the?
Yes, yes, definitely.
We didn't put fencing at all.
No fencing. This is not a secure parking lot.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
Okay.
are, no, that was over on N, aren't we?
No, that was.
That was L, so.
Oh, my God.
B.
P.
Discuss and take action to appoint members of the library advisory board.
I know they went application, correct?
Does anybody have anything on this?
I make a motion that we nominate Ann Frank to the open position.
No, it's, this is on.
And we have to reappoint people that are up.
And reappoint the rest of the folks who applied, reapplied.
So it says motion to reappoint all members.
I second. Well, we had to add, we had to add and prompt, Frank or whatever.
That's your motion, I'll say.
That is my motion.
Good.
Councilmember
Yes.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yep.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Tebow,
Yes.
Chairperson Paul.
Yes. Okay. Q, ordinance, first reading, amending chapter 2, administration, article 9, finance, by providing general housekeeping to said article, by deleting article in its entirety, amending chapter 2, administration, article 5, 6, 7, 8, airport advisory board, by providing general housekeeping by amending reserve sections, adding a article 9, Old Town Preservation Advisory Board, to establish board, set terms, membership, duties, rules, and regulations, and providing for a severance, reading, penalty, and effective date. And Dave, why are we putting them in and taking them out and all this stuff?
What are you talking about?
Well, Dave, if you'd held it, Dave, yeah.
Oh, did you already do library?
Yeah. Chapter 2.
All right, so let me just give you the skinny. If you guys tonight just eliminate for now the chapter 25 piece, then you're legal and you can create the board tonight.
But it has to go 3 readings.
Yeah, every board goes through 3 readings. Now, the only thing you can't do, because I missed it, but is the chapter 25 component,
Right.
the overlay map. But here's the thing. You really have time to give that to the board because they need to create what's in there anyway. And then you'd be going through a whole nother zoning change. So
Well, exactly.
there's no need to do it twice.
So I didn't think so either. So
Right.
I didn't know.
So the setting up of the Old Town Preservation Advisory Board, if you just do that, you're fine tonight.
And it's not to go in and change zoning or anything like that. It's to set up a board that, to kind of look at the, the historic part of that we have, and there's some of the houses, and some of that stuff. It's not to go in there and try to tell everybody what they can and can't do.
Well, that's so sick, because that's what Rick and Martin was slow walk this, but Rick Pratt came up and said, look, this is basically create a quarter inch HOA, all your house, material, style of house you can build. And that's why I got no traction. We had the next council meeting with Mr. Came up and basically everybody here was like running mouths before.
It's like what?
Frank, Morgan, thank you.
Oh, but if you remember in that, they were trying to change pitches and the roofs, and they were trying to
Correct.
change a lot of stuff. That's not what we're looking
So I guess that's my question. What is the board looking to do? I mean, what is it not doing that the P&Z, or what is it doing that the P&Z couldn't do?
It's just to set up a preservation board to protect some of our only history that we have left in Florida. Oh,
Are they just gonna say that house you can't do anything with? I mean, that's kind of the one of the things I got an email is, it seems like this is since their zone overpowers all the other zones, you could have on wind, the advisory board says, we want to make this all short-term rental. And if everybody on the council votes.
No, it's
to
not.
make it.
It's not. That's not really what that's
Well,
not what I see it being.
Right, but you unfortunately got to be careful about what we see it being, what actually happens, because they rarely, we got to kind of legislate for the worst case scenario.
So are you defining the boundaries?
Well,
that we can't do tonight, Dave. We gotta.
No, but would this board be doing?
Yes,
That's what I'm
and so
getting
in 2017, they passed a resolution and set the boundaries up so they could put like the.
Council did.
Council.
They recommended to council
Yeah.
a boundary. Council approved it, which would be the same way. What's that?
No.
So here's the count, they came in and basically they gave us a map. I modified it and handed out, but since it's not relevant, I'm not worried about it. But they came in and said, basically, we would like to designate this area of town to put street signs of the old style. So that was no problem. And then Mr. Pratt came back a couple months later and said, well, now we have this boundary. I'd like to propose that we pick certain colors and certain styles and everything, they could basically, he didn't say homeowners association, but he said basically that's what effect it's gonna be. So all of a sudden it lost its traction. And then Mr. Morgan came up about a year or two later and said, look, these are the plans, here's the colors we want to go with, here's the style materials, here's the roof pitches. And I mean.
And instead, we let all these big old things grow up.
Well, I understand that, but it's put by was, I don't want to live in I just have stuff, I want homeowners association, tell me what color my store can be.
So when the historical association from Texas came down and did all their findings.
Right.
And we don't have 51% of historical buildings and houses in there, so we can't call it really a historical district. I mean, we can, but it's not really considered one by the state, but because we've lost so much in hurricanes. So why do we have to lose everything to, just overbuilding and everything? But what it is, if somebody wants to take their house that is an historical house and make it that and get a lot of tax abatements, they can do that. But if they don't, we're not forcing them to. We're not going to try to force anybody to do that.
Right. It could be incentive based.
Yeah. So,
It could be 100% volunteer incentive based to where if you did this or if you do X, Y, and Z, you get,
look at the King Williams area that's protected.
they would create those policies. Well, the board would create the policy, then it would go up to council for approval. Of course, they wouldn't approve it, but.
Well, that's why I said it doesn't. My question is, so does this have to be a new zone? I mean, couldn't this just be, if you feel like, Tarpon Inn is a historical preserved building, but it's just in a C1 or actually C2 overlay now. So do we need to make new zoning for this?
It's not zoning, it's an overlay, right?
Well, that is zoning. I mean, it depends on, it depends on if you have architectural controls and standards, yes, it's zoning. It's a zoning overlay.
But
this doesn't say any of it. This is create board.
Well, the next step was you create the board who then says, we want to say all buildings have to be red, no more than 2 stories, everything has to be made out of wood.
Well, I'm saying if we're going to say that we can create a board, I'll vote for that right now. I mean, that's just an easy thing.
Yeah, I mean, creating the board's the easy part. It's propagating. The harder part is figuring out what the policy is. Right. That's the hard part.
So the board would have to, so we create the board, I'll vote for that, and then they come back with recommendations.
They have to come back to the council.
Okay.
Well, yeah, they're probably going to come to you and say, all right, guys, give us an overall mission statement. You guys give them an overall mission and see what they come up with. I don't know.
I don't know,
I mean, it's like I just question, I know there's been a lot of stuff about like people unhappy with happening with Woody's, but I mean, Mr. Martin has the right to retire and make what he thinks is fair for his building, get fair what he thinks for his property.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it is, but is the alternative? Do we say, no, you can't retire, you have to work till you die?
No, the alternatives are like we're talking, is put in incentive-based programs possibly, right? So, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, not disagreeing. I'm just saying this is going to look at possible alternatives, right? Joe, is that the plan?
Yeah, every city has a historical or preservation.
Well, I mean, I guess if you could look at the other side of the coin, you guys could just direct P&Z to do it and not even create a board.
Well, I think this would be a focus thing, reporting to P&Z with that one specific mission.
Right.
What do you think?
I just don't know if P&Z would have the time to spend.
No, I know.
I think a committee has to do it and then go to P&Z.
Well, maybe so, or like I said, council's always the last.
Right, if it depends on whether it's in zoning.
Right. Right.
And they just have enough to do as it is, and we just got to
exactly.
I mean, you guys could always start the board, and Joan could work on the mission statement over the next couple months, so that by the time you guys go to third reading, you've maybe had 2 or 3 agenda items to discuss it, and you hash out a good mission for them.
Well, Joe already has a great sort of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Deserve the city's
Yeah,
heritage.
it's not.
So there you go. I mean, I think I'll just go ahead. I motion that we go ahead and approve this creation of the board, preserve the city's heritage for future generations, and they can come back and report to city council at future dates or P&Z.
Right. And we're only doing the chapter, Fran, we're not doing anything in chapter 25, the map or just what's that? Oh, we're on Q.
We're on Q.
What was I creating?
We're basically getting rid of all the finance
Well,
section and we're
F.
making another board.
Finances. You got it.
S or F?
You got it.
We're on Q. We're on Q.
Oh, all right. Aren't these all related?
The next one's R. Yeah, see, you have.
Oh, okay. There's
I didn't understand.
Q, R, and S. So then
Put this one about.
this is chapter 2. So we got to do this part, but the map's in the back.
S is the map.
Okay, so
Let me ask, Fran, why is the exhibit of Old Town Preservation Zone in Q?
there's a map. If you go
There's a
back-
map at the back,
Oh, there is?
which
Oh.
we don't need it there, right?
No.
Right. So Q all by itself does not have, yeah,
You got them in 3 different.
I know, hold up. This funny.
I think the part, there were developments in funding thing, we're separating the funding from the department. Is that correct?
We did not have an article. We had to create another article for finance.
Well, what was that for the finance?
But if we don't. If all we do is have it divided. Yes, if we have to, the way it was expecting that we're gonna create articles for the.
Dave.
Hold up. I'm trying to figure it out. So,
You did Q, R, S.
yeah. Yeah. So I think, okay, so we do need to we need to approve Q, but I want to strike something. I'm going to strike something in 2-135 duties. Strike through this boundary shall be an overlay. Strike that. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, then I think we're safe to, so let me just think this through. So we got to approve Q, then we get to R, and R is R is the renaming. So Fran, section R is created the new article X, right? And there's nothing in there because what's happening is that where we need to put it in chapter 2, to put it right, you have the library board, the airport board, then we had to squeeze it in. So we had to steal Article 9 and use that as the preservation board. And then we got to, so what R does, R renames Article 9. That's clerical. Then S, we just don't do S, right? All of S we don't do.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
yeah, all of S we don't do. So we do Q and R, and in Q, the only edit I see is on 2-135. You scratch out this boundary shall be an overlaid zoning district because it's just cleaner if you do that at a later date. Okay. So the motion would be do Q with that correction to 2-135. That's your first step. And then you're going to go approve R and you're not going to approve S.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Go for it. All right. Do you have it, Joe Ellen?
We're getting there. This is all the stuff we're taking out. You're almost there. Okay, so this is the new stuff. So we've got additions.
So it's approved the first of
And then it's gonna go-
ordinance amending chapter 2 administration article.
Correct, with the one change to that.
finance.
Yep,
That's Q, right?
that's Q, with the one change to section 2-135.
Oh, the change from Section 2, 1 dash.
It's scratching out this boundary shall be an overlay zoning district.
It's the
And
new, the
then
entire
R.
2135 is.
No, not all of it, just the fourth line. This boundary shall be an overlay zoning district. That's what we shouldn't say at this point. No, it's no. Approving item Q, an ordinance, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I make a motion
Yep.
that we approve the changes with the line striked out of section 2-135 saying the boundary shall be overlay zone district with.
Yep.
That line out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A second.
Yes. Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Clark? No.
No.
Chairperson Hull?
Yes.
Did it pass? Okay. Okay, now you need to approve R. Because R is just the correction of, yeah, you have to do R, otherwise you eliminate the whole,
Just make a motion.
you eliminate all of finance.
First reading of administration by adding new article as finance and providing separate reading.
Yeah.
So we're putting it back in
Motion.
below what we.
Correct.
A second. Yeah, Bruce.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger?
Yes.
Chairperson Hull?
Yes.
No. I'll go no.
And then S, you're just gonna,
Ignore it.
what do we do to S? We're not gonna do it?
Yeah.
Is it
You're
just,
gonna do what?
Make a nominate or make a motion to send to P and Z.
What?
Oh, right, yeah.
oh, no, because the board's gonna,
The board's gonna create it,
and then it goes.
yeah, and bring it to you guys and then,
Maybe put in layman's terms what we just.
okay.
I'm still, I know.
Right.
We created.
You created you created a board in chapter, yeah. You created a board in chapter 2, but if you'll notice,
He'll show you, if you go to chapter.
if you go to chapter
then it's
2, 135.
It's chapter 9 setting up. a-
I'll stop by your office.
Chapter 2. So we squeeze this thing
I had it on.
right here.
You're next, you're next.
So we put this board right here.
Yeah.
We put this board. It needed to go right here. We had to steal Article 9 because we wanted to put it in after all these other boards. So we stole Article 9 from finance. And so what we did was, we just renamed it and squeezed it in right into that hole.
So it is an advisory board.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the boards were in section 2. Dave.
Yes,
What?
it does.
Dave-
What?
Dave-
Fran said that we have to send it to P and Z. So that, it has to be motion to send it to P and Z.
What?
I'm talking about item R or F.
Oh, item S. Well, the map, don't you want it to go to the board? She's gonna let it go to the board.
So we motion that because the board's not even created yet.
No, you don't need to do anything. S is a scratch.
Yes, it's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, two, presentation and general discussion. of votes associated with
Woo!
Harvard recovery, possible city council visit to Washington DC and Austin.
Good afternoon. Michael Doris Jr. here. Pleasure to meet some of you. I also have Terry Lopez in the audience with me from the broadest group. give you the update that's in the agenda for you. Public safety, we did meet this week with PDEM and FEMA. They sent a determination memo to us. We're analyzing that determination memo, but in the last 12 months, they squeezed out about 500 square feet. So we are additional. So we are substantially, based on codes and standards, unable to build it at the square footage they presented. So we're analyzing that. I think by February, we're going to have the whole breakdown of the cost. But as it stands right now, if based on FEMA's numbers, you're about $4 million, a little over $4 million. That's A&E, that's all your permits and environmental reviews and everything.
So we're gonna come to you guys. We want to do a workshop in February, an hour before the council meeting, and do a dedicated FEMA workshop, but bring to you guys an idea of how to fund we're going to pick one of them. We're going to pick public safety and how to fund that by a different method.
Kind of like you just asked on the roads, what are our options? Start building it now, pay for it ourselves, bond it.
Rob bank.
I'm going to tell you, and let us do it in February, but
come on, Wendy.
You need a rob a bank based on their numbers. They're at $200 a square foot. Rockport just got a city hall price of $600.
Yeah.
So can we have a special meeting rather than waiting another month on this? I mean, this has been now.
Well, we're only 3 weeks away because we're already a week late, and we got some serious numbers to crunch. So I mean, it's going to take us 3 weeks to put this idea together.
To put it in context for you,
I know, but I've heard about context and stuff for the last 6 months.
No, and I think that's why the presentation. Yes, sir. I think that's why the presentation, if you go to try to build this right now, you basically have about $2 million to build a jail, police station, EMS at about 12,000 square feet, $600 a square foot. So you're not building the building you have with the money they're trying to give you. The decision has to be made.
I'm just, frustrated with the time. You don't think we can do it any sooner than?
No, we're going to need 3 weeks. I mean, we got STRs kicking off in 5 days. I mean, staff is we're smoked right now.
This is going to be the hearing.
No, this is going to be a FEMA workshop to where we're going to.
How much money do you want to spend in bond?
Yeah. And we got a couple ideas of how to rat hole some money around. But it's going to take us 3 weeks to figure out whether it's legal or not. Great.
I can tell you that right now. Yeah.
Well,
it's a pretty simple number. We're at 38.9 million. In order to do your recovery correctly,
What, just one building?
No, you're one building. Your A&E estimate on public safety to build into codes and standards right now is just shy of 10 million. He was trying to give you 2. So if building is not getting cheaper. I can tell you around the country, that's the case. We presented a case to FEMA. The index has jumped up 27%. So they don't want to recognize that. You can't control the market. So I think, Ms. Jones, just like we did in the community center a few years back, bring you where we started, where we are, and here's your option A and option B where you want to go. One's expensive, one's time consuming. But these are, I will give it to you, it is a slow process. I think in January of 2018, I said it would be a slow process. I got an email in my inbox Monday from Hurricane Rita for Louisiana, 16 years ago. So it's a slow process. Should your critical facilities be where they are? Nobody wants to see that. No, sir.
I'm just saying that, when I brought this up, it was one of my biggest concerns about it. And I was told at that time, oh, we don't want to do this because if we do, then FEMA won't pay us back. We'll be screwed.
And you're
Now,
not
here we are
saying-
8 months later and we're proposing pretty much what was proposed back. then.
With the
Yeah.
same,
But you're talking
Well-
about entire year city budget. to pay for
with the
it.
same answer, right?
Well, no, what we did is at the request of the council, we settled the arbitration to come back and work with FEMA. That was February of 2021. Just provided the meeting minutes to FEMA to remind them. We said we want to be settled in April of 2021. We got zero correspondence, zero communication, everything. Every week when we met with FEMA, this was an appeal in a black hole behind the man behind the black curtain. And we asked every week, every Wednesday. We got that answer Monday. 12 months almost to the day later. And all they could figure out was 536 additional square feet, when we're about 6,000 off. We've sat in front of arbitration panels. I just did one for a tornado in Hattiesburg. They just won their fire station. It's been 4.5 years. They had to go to arbitration and win it. All that process is moving. The arbitration filings, the legal, the lawyers, all that's moving. Or you pay for it yourself.
That square footage, is that our original footprint? Is that original square footage that we had, or are we looking to go bigger? Is that?
It's, you have to take the original square foot of the building as it sits now and address ADA and code compliance. And you have a how old building?
Early 90s.
Yeah. With an addition that serves 6 critical functions between 911 service, police, the jail, the courthouse. So all the codes that have changed since 1990, it's a book about this big. It's been provided to FEMA 4 times. I just looked it up. Can't make them read. It's unfortunate. So there's a process, and it's appeal, which we did. They asked us to come back to work together because the stuff was incomplete, and we're going to arbitration. And the good thing about the arbitration is whatever that the 3-panel judge tells us, doesn't matter after that. It's the answer.
Yep.
So that's the road we are on for your critical facilities.
And what's the time frame on the arbitration?
And average about 8 months.
From
filing, from when the state files it to feds.
David, what's your recommendation or your thoughts?
I think staff wants to come up with an alternative method and bring it to you guys at this workshop, and we'll have the financing, we'll have the numbers, and we move forward in the best direction you guys think.
These 8 million bonds to get you laughed out of town.
Well,
Million
we're,
bonds won't finish this.
Well, anyway, that's, you're not gonna get $8 million bond pass. Not in your wildest dreams. It's an entire city budget for a year.
Right.
well, that's not the idea. So we're going to bring you something different than that.
It's semi-legal.
So you're saying even get back to us then before the next council.
Yeah, which is 3 weeks away. I mean, that's not much time considering everything.
And this is public safety and fire.
Public safety.
Just
Public safety.
Fire is the start of the same day, same time, Ms. Jones. They have not given me an answer yet. And we've talked to the regional administrator. Actually,
We have 4 meetings a week with FEMA. Now they range from anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour. But we've had these 4 meetings a week for 4 years. I mean, it's never stopped. Oh, no, they're
Say we'll get the gauntlet.
well, that's part of the problem. When we first started in 2017, we didn't have masks, and it was, we all come down here and beat each other up around a square table. But believe me, they have enjoyed their federal run and hide coverage from COVID. And it has ground everything to a freaking halt.
And it's not a Port Aransas. You can reach out to the Texas Department of Emergency Management, give a state.
It's a state, I don't know what it is.
So what's the plan with you going to Washington DC and rallying some Senator Cage?
I'll tell you what's different now than the last time we went. We've gone through the process and lost another year in expense. And two, there's a hunger for infrastructure nationally, about $1.2 trillion hunger for it. And it's hard to understand why the same hunger from the administration doesn't exist here. Now,
So basically, we're going to rattle some cages.
yes, sir.
So no action tonight.
I'd like to give the updates.
Yeah, keep going, yeah.
Updates. These are the critical facilities, public safety we started the gorilla in the room, but we have some stuff to report to you on other things. The piers, the test pile. Yeah, so the test piles came back, an additional 15 feet based on the study, the test. So they're being fabricated, supply chain, 15 extra feet, but it's all moving through the process. Counsel run the drainage, the submittals are into urban, their production piles are ordered, moving along. The Charlie's pasture bulkhead, we are going to come to the next meeting with a recommendation. We do have bids. There's two different pots of money associated with those bids. One is a FEMA pot of money at cost, and then one was the grant we got to elevate it. So both of those presentations and budgets will be brought to you once.
So we had 6 bids, 2 really good ones. So we're bringing that for your guys' approval. So that's going to start moving.
About a $6.3 million project. If the apparent low bidder is responsive. Good. The nature preserve and boardwalk. This has been a challenge for the feds due to the current conditions. We do have the biological assessment in draft form. We've been on the core hardcore because we need this permit by April to not affect the whooping crane season. We don't get the feds to give us the approval and the environmental clearance. If we can't do it, we don't start in April. So we have reported that. It's in writing. The regional administration did reach. He received email.
Yeah. So our nature reserve, we were so successful that a pair of whooping cranes was lured into our wonderful nature preserve. And now the feds say, well, maybe we shouldn't have people walking back in there on those trails that you had because of the whooping cranes. So our response was, well, you know, that's the city's nature reserve, and we put up all the fences to keep the vehicles out. You know, do you want us to just go back to how it was before? You get crickets when you ask them that. But yeah, so their latest is maybe there shouldn't be anyone walking back there anywhere.
And it's one of the environmental steps you have to.
That's the holdup.
And if we don't, here's the thing, the big concern is the mating season. So from what I understand, so if we don't get going in April, the crane can't go up, the drive piles, we're gonna lose another year.
Yeah, because we have about a 6-month construction window. We have to bid that job, so they're ready to hit the ground in April. So they got April, May, June, July, August, September. Then the cranes return in the fall, and you got to halt construction again. And you can't do that mid-project because you'd lose everything if the contractor had to mob out. Right. So we're waiting on the feds to.
So is this for all of the boardwalk?
The south boardwalk, the north boardwalk is still under design.
So just for the south.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, but it's going to be the same issue.
Same situation.
Of course.
Yeah, it'll be the same issue. So we're using our local friends that are in Fish and Wildlife to really put the heat on those people that have that idea without
Josh
saying any
Melner's
names.
calling the Corps and all of his federal partners on a daily basis. We have a shareholder meeting. So we're pushing. Moving on, the gas distribution system, we are expecting the bids come in 1st of February. That'll be the final phase. That's the individual connections. We'll bring those to you, and we will look to do a groundbreaking and hope to invite our federal partners for a groundbreaking ceremony. If it stands to the estimate, it'll be the largest project in Port Aransas history.
That's the 25 million gas system.
So that the high pressure system feeding into the distribution, it's pretty much punch list out. There's a couple loose end items. I think by the end of the month we'll be fine. Fared well through colder weather, so all looks good there. They're doing fencing and breaking type stuff. They were out there today. The community park, we just have the doors that are back ordered until next month to finish up, but everything looks, no schedule slips at that at this point. The Roberts Point Park EDA, that they should finish this week. The removal of the piles for the 2 dock projects by Barcom, as well as hopefully get to the punch list items of the parking by this week. They have some piles of stuff they need to clean up. We're out there today to get some pictures for EDA.
But the parking's looking, it looks good, and it's
People out there.
a lot of people using it.
I think with the pier, it'll be a good addition. Public Works Garage.
Oh, hey, real quick, will you touch base on the, Janak? They have hired an architect and.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, because it wasn't on their list, yes. So Janak has the Harbor Master main pavilion area, which is kind of the final piece of the puzzle.
For the EDA.
For the EDA grant. They have been authorized to do the Harbor Master office. They hired a new architect on that will also be working on this project. I think a recent grad at Harvard, Raymond. And so they're excited. They got their go. And so that design and the estimate and everything, expecting Janak to submit to us in the next couple of months.
Yeah, and we're all sending our, really thanking to Carolyn, our architect, so.
Well, we're hoping you're not gonna close the pavilion this summer.
No, we got to figure out, we'll figure out a way to keep things open. Yeah.
Public Works Garage, we submitted a work amendment request into them, to the state and FEMA. They recognized, they received it. And then the roads, we talked about it earlier, but we did have, our lawyer was down here last weekend for the arbitration on those roads in the case. I will tell you, we failed to mention when Jim was here. I also believe when you start tearing up the roads to fix them, you're going to see the undermined base. We're going to be able to get core samples. We're going to see conditions. Can't see right now. I think FEMA walking over a pothole. It's just, FEMA's trying to get out of the road business in New Orleans, beat them up. You've probably heard me say that in the council meeting once or twice before. So they made it hard. They did give us a few of those locations on our first appeal in a positive direction. So we did make progress through the first appeal process on 4 locations eligible. And then last, these are the payments approved to date. Money in from TDIP, it's just shy of $39 million. Last 3 years have been pretty steady on the money coming in. And I expect 2022 to be 10 million plus year recovery. But the gas probably hot, a lot higher than that. Thinking about gas now. So anytime those numbers can be produced in what came in from TDIP. Unless you have any questions.
Thank you, sir, for all the hard work you do.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
And then we can discuss what we're going to do about going to Washington for in the near future.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Bruce, what we hope to do is come give you the presentation where we are.
Sure.
We have settled with insurance since the last time on the community center presentation, so we know the final numbers of settlement there. Be a good overcap where we still have to go. But can see where the shortfall choose to go full speed ahead on.
We get an update from you every council meeting.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we've missed the last 2 because Leo got sick and. Yeah.
Well, I'm just concerned. I mean, we really have to push on this. This is a big, I'm not telling you guys anything.
Yeah.
Citizens of this order need that fixed. I mean, if we don't have proper representation, we're not doing our job for our constituents.
So you mean you're ready to go to Washington?
I'm ready to do both anything at this point in time, and I disagree with Bruce. I don't know, like, yeah, it's gonna be tough to get $8 passed. I would agree.
No, that's not our strategy. We're gonna have something else.
You got another strategy that's.
Yeah.
We can't just continue like this because, by the time I'm turned out, I'm counsel after 6 years. I want to see that damn thing fixed. Okay?
Well,
So-
and I'll say this, Mr. David, I'll tell you, this will show this, but had we settled with FEMA, you'd only got 2 of your 3 peers and they'd be wooden right now. So it's a slippery, it's a.
Understood.
Risk versus rule versus sweet.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and don't give up now. Resolution temporarily prohibiting the public consumption of possession with the intent to consume alcohol.
LT.
On Port Aransas Beach. Let you.
Behind my flask.
Beginning Friday, March.
Why bother?
Through Monday, March 22nd, 2022, inclusive between the hours of 6 p.m. and midnight, and providing the police department and enforcement of prohibition to their PAY for public safety.
So this is an ordinance that we bring to you guys every January meeting. Because I think by ordinance, or not by ordinance, but by resolution,
We have to set the time.
we have to set, every year we have to set the time and date.
Yeah, this is the tool that this is just the tool that we've been using for years, to help control spring break problems and things. It's just the same time frame. The dates usually shift a little bit, so that's what we're asking.
And it's been successful.
Very successful.
It has been, this is it's the 6 p.m. shutdown time, to where instead of letting them go all night and you start seeing the fires and the craziness and the fights, this gives.
The violence has gone down significantly.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, it was pretty bad, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Models.
Yes. Yeah, and we have seen a steady decline in the violence and even the number of arrests that are being made through spring break. So
People don't even stay on the beach, right?
No,
Go somewhere else.
I think that's a lot more families are coming down out of their office because there's not crazy kids down here, but you're getting a lot of young families coming in. And it seems like those are not the ones who are down the beach, causing riots, whatever. And so maybe it's chicken or egg. Are they coming down because they feel safer, or is it because, whatever? So because families come down, the kids are like, oh, it's not cool. But either way, motion to approve.
We have a little.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
I mean, I guess what other options do you have other than just cutting it out? Because I see what you're saying. Basically, the minute 6 o'clock hits, people just evacuate.
Yeah,
Right?
and-
They're
and-
gone. Can we just say beaches shut at 6?
yeah, and I mean, and this is not something that we go out there and we're heavy-handed enforcement on kind of deal. This is a very targeted enforcement tool that we use that allows us to target any kind of behavior that looks like it's going to lead to problems later on in the year. And it allows us to stop that behavior before it even starts. And this is something that we started, good grief, I don't know, probably 12 years ago, 15 years ago, and we've steadily kind of moved the time frame up, and we have seen a steady decline in the amount of arrests that we've made for BWI, for just regular offenses that we see down on the beach, and especially in the violence. And that's where we were really worried about, is targeting the violence that was going on.
What if we propose that we have no alcohol on the beach on those 2 weeks? We just say, no, none on the beach.
I mean, absolutely, you can. I don't know that you would want to do that. No, I'm just saying there's.
I'm not trying to be a pain in the neck.
No.
I'm just asking. It's like if it's good after 6, I guess at 6 it starts getting darker.
What we figured out, Dave, was that at 5 o'clock around the region,
Yeah.
all these guys get off work. They load up their beer and they come hauling ass to Port A to make it to the beach to see some bikinis and then raise hell. And what we've done is basically driven off that group, because now they don't come because at 6 o'clock it's over.
And if they do, they don't stay.
Yeah.
And
So that's been the biggest, that's that group, that subset that we've kind of
but we are seeing
gotten rid
a
of.
lot more families. I mean, if you went down the beach last year and looked, you had a very small section of the beach that was typical spring break type of crowd. And then on both sides of them was families, you know, that were parking. It looked just like a busy summer down there, except for, you know, one little section of the beach that you had the spring break kids that got a little rowdy and stuff like that. If you prohibit alcohol completely across that, you're going to be targeting those families as well. And that's going to be the message that you'll send to those families. If that's the message that we want to send, then, I mean, that's something that you guys can discuss.
beach.
But
That's okay.
but what we're really looking at is trying to make sure that we don't let the black.
Yeah, about 4 years ago, it was pretty damn wild. I remember pictures of the police getting, officers getting hit with bottles. It was-
Yeah, I was down there in the middle of it. I remember.
Either way, it works, is what you're saying.
It does.
Okay, so we got a motion to approve also.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, LT.
5, UV, not 5. Discussion and take possible action on proposed invitation to participate in contemplated mediation with Port of Corpus Christi and the Port Aransas Conservancy, the PAC, regarding Harbor Island.
Okay, so PAC leadership reached out to, I know they reached out to Joellen, she was in on it, reached out to myself about potentially setting up a Harbor Island use mediation discussion.
So let me ask a question. Would this not go against our settlement agreement?
We ran it in front of legal and we said, hey, legal said, hey, just have the port legal draft us a letter saying that we agree this is not in violation of the settlement agreement. And we said if we could get that, then we would potentially participate. Of course, we'd bring it to council and council would vote. So we threw this item on here, but we never did get we didn't.
I don't think.
You saw the email, didn't you, from PAC attorney? We didn't want to try to go get it ourselves. So we told PAC leadership, hey, will your legal team reach out to the port and attempt to get us that?
Because they didn't even do it.
That letter. And
The court was supposed to have that on their agenda, and I don't think they.
last Tuesday, they didn't. And so PAC leadership reached back out to us this week and they were just like, Dave, we just think the port's so busy in this suit that it's just not a great time for them to do a sidebar mediation. So we think maybe it'll come in a couple months, maybe. So PAC is still going to keep working on it. But for now, they're just wetting the interest there.
They have like 16 lawyers now.
Right. So it's something that,
16 lawyers on the deed.
So just so you guys know, the back history of this was Port Aransas always, we fought them on smokestack industry on Harbor Island. It was always the city's and most of the citizens wish to have the port do a much less impactful use over there. However, the port is restricted by state law, and they can't really get into the commercial retail. They can't get into any of that by state law. So at the 2021 legislation, they were like, they did make that attempt. Hey, we're going to go after state law, or actually the Nueces County did it on their behalf, if I'm correct, right? Wasn't it Nueces County that put up that legislation forward? I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
So Nueces County put up some legislation that would allow the port to do alternative uses. It did not go around the region. It was not well received because it was kind of a last minute. It wasn't real thought out. So it had a little traction, but it ultimately failed at the legislature. And we voiced our opinion as a council that, we told the port, hey, we don't mind looking at alternative uses, but it needs to be done in preparation for 2023. And we need to take our time, roll it out properly, have citizen input. So we all said, hey, all right, in the off season, let's potentially circle back together with CPAC, with the PAC folk, and look at potential alternate uses for Harbor Island. So that's what the history of that was about. So it's still, maybe it'll be something that comes in a couple months.
Okay.
So nothing to do now.
Now you can do a presentation in general stuff, including but not limited to the last short-term rentals and city property acquisition.
Oh, W.
We skipped W.
Sorry.
Joe Ellen's W.
Yeah.
General discussion and possible action on residential building.
Yeah, that was just coming back to, there was so much conflict about how these buildings are, you know?
Well, I think that, right now it's still mid-pitch, center of mid-pitch, that's correct? Is that
Right.
how
Yeah.
it's worded? And the reason they wanted it center of mid-pitch was because you indicated that it changed it to just the highest point on the structure, people could just make flat roofs, right?
Yeah. That's,
Yeah, that's what it, I mean, if you just did it overall 35-foot, Dave thinks everybody come in and do a flat roof.
Well, they would.
If they just want to build a bunch of ugly flat roof square houses. I don't know what should be worse.
I mean, I will say that we did change some and probably not a lot, but y'all passed the small lots 27 feet.
Sure.
And I mean, it hasn't had time to see if that's taken effect.
It
yet.
is.
There's a couple of them that have come in underneath the wire. See what we got first.
Still, it's a difficult to. I mean, the long discussion we had in the closed. Shows how difficult that measurement.
Exactly. So that's what we were thinking at the time, and how we could just get something that was to 35 feet instead of, because when they go mid-pitch to 35 feet, you don't know what it ends up.
Where did 35 feet come from?
it was here before me in 2005.
I mean, this is like, it's like a very arbitrary number like that.
Well,
Well, it's like,
it's
38 and 34.
it's a 3-story product is what it is.
Yeah.
And then you could potentially have attic space, but it's a 3-story product.
But if you go to 27 feet mid-pitch, you're still going to be, what, 30,
Well,
32
yeah.
feet?
Then the other issue we were talking about was massing. Like if your intent is to, if you're in, for example, if your intent when we did the lot reduction was, hey, how can we help combat too many people, too many cars, too many bedrooms? If by going to a 5,000 square foot lot, if you had a 10,000 square foot lot and you used to be able to divide it into thirds, right?
Mhm.
If you draw that product 3-story and then take now 2 5,000 square foot lots and you max out that 3-story building, guess which option has more building mass and more bedrooms, which will equal more people, more cars?
Mm-hmm.
The 3-lot product or the 2-lot product? No, the 2-lot product ends up being more mass because you got 2 lot lines down the middle with a 5 and a 5 foot setback. So really mass wise, the 5,000 square foot product will most likely result in more square footage of structure versus small lots, more people, more cars, more bedrooms. So the thought is that if you want to do something to regulate mass, you have to do 2 things. You have to, well, one thing, you have to somehow figure out how to reduce the structure, right? So less bedrooms, less, which means less, translates to less cars, which translates to a smaller occupancy. But the only way to make your mass shrink is to limit height or increase setbacks. So one of those two options. A third option was pick an area in town. Let's say you wanted to do everything in from Avenue G and cut off and say, if you want to go 3-story, we're only going to allow you to build a 50% third-story floor that, you know, that's half as big as the story below it. So for example, if you on Avenue A, there's a couple of those. If you look at them, they're not just 3-story all the way up in a big square box. Some of these have a reduced, and so you get these varying pitch roofs, and it's much more, I personally think it's more architecturally pleasing than just 3 stories of a box. So that's something you could do. So, or if someone wanted to go 3-story, you could say, all right, you want 3-story on this side, you have to have an additional 5-foot setback.
Yeah.
So those are some ideas that reduce mass. And if you reduce mass, now you are reducing number of bedrooms, you're reducing number of occupants, and you're reducing number of cars. Whereas what we've done now with just the 5,000 square foot lots, we haven't touched mass. Well, we actually are forcing a larger mass. And what you could start seeing are large, big box filling up these 5,000 square foot lots. And they're going to be, it's more mass than what was on 3 small lots. So that's something that you guys need to look at in regards to height. Yeah, reduction of third stories, reduction of height, or additional setbacks.
When you get somebody next door and they tower over, you know, and I know somebody sold their house because they built those big ones over them, and that they built a nice pool next door and everything. And they feel like they had any privacy left, and rental, and they live there full time. So yeah, I moved to kind of short-term rentals in my neighborhood. I mean, I understand that.
But that's, I don't know, something for you guys to ponder.
We've been pondering.
If you guys ever wanted me to like bring drawings back or put those ideas on paper so you could look at them more plainly.
Like we've driven around.
Yeah.
In G, all in there.
Mhm.
There's not that many.
There's not that many 3-story structures.
There's really not.
And the ones that are there do have the reduced
Right.
third floor.
If you really drive around and look, there's really not.
A lot of them like 3-story, but they're like you park underneath the old house on stilts kind of deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, even those, a lot of those have a reduced upper level. And they're more architectural pleasing than your.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Want me to bring something back?
yeah. you
Okay.
can. Especially
Yeah.
the one you like.
All right.
Then.
Oh, yeah. Where'd Rick go? Oh, you're going to do the GovOS. All right.
Wait. Yeah, so we are set for Tuesday to go live with GovOS for short-term rental registration. This is a really heavy lift. It's a lot of training. Be patient with us as we get through doing all this, because there's going to be some hiccups. We know there always are things like this, but we've been in training 3 times this week, and we have training tomorrow. And working with the guys on getting spreadsheets so they can get all the letters out. They can start working with the property managers one-on-one to get everything registered and tied correctly to the correct properties. And we anticipate starting collecting the tax portion of this March 1st. Because they need to register before they can pay the tax, because they have to have a number, which has to be tied to email. We've got everything set up for the payments. Building department also has a switch in their upgrade of their MyGov software, which is what we use for building permits. That starts Monday. So we start that Monday and we start this Tuesday. So,
And we'll see what we find.
I got a quick, I'm sorry. I got a quick question. Is every condo registered singly now instead of the condo, the whole condo building being one?
It depends, because a lot of them, like for example, they might have split management. You know, like maybe like half of the Dunes condo operates under Dunes condominium, whoever they use, and then maybe the others are individuals. So a lot of the condos have split management.
And
but-
individual can choose whatever property manager.
It just seems like to get a correct count on STRs, each condo should be registered by itself. I didn't know if they did it like that.
That wouldn't work.
Okay.
That wouldn't work at all because they don't pay tax that way. They don't.
Yeah.
register that way,
Okay.
they don't have property manager. They need to go with their property manager or their individual.
Yeah.
And not as
Okay.
a block
Yeah.
of the condo. It would.
Yeah, we need to
Okay.
be able to separate them out by how they're paying
I didn't
taxes.
know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know how that worked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you see any major glitches or problems that you're going to have to overcome, or is it just a learning curve?
It's learning curve.
Learning curve.
Okay.
Learning curve on both sides of the
Next month to
fence.
tell you about the glitches. This month is just learning.
Yeah, it'd be a learning curve for us and them,
On the
owners.
owners,
Right.
property managers.
Everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yes.
I mean,
And
We had a
it's,
couple
you know, we've got
complaints about
several
people
thousand.
getting paying two registration fees. Did the town screw up on this?
No.
No, it was the people that paid a late or people that did registration late and then now they're having to redo it. But
We
that's
did
what we
tell
voted on.
Everybody that came in, and it was voted on by council, and we had people come in the week between Christmas and New Year and register their short-term rental registration, and we told them, this is only good till December 31st, you will be required to pay again. They said, we understand, we're renting this week, we want you registered.
But we're
And
still
we
gonna
had
call
multiple people
council
that did that.
members.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We did have multiple people
We're gonna
registered
tell
that
them
week,
it's going to 5.
and it was, yeah. it was all- So that's kind of what, that's a good one.
That's kind of that's the,
I got another question real quick, and I think, when did we decide with the parking permits in Corpus? You said you were gonna work that out and you.
we got our permits. We got our permits in hand. We got how many?
Oh, we got a lot. I think we did 180,000.
Yeah. So we have been working with ACM in Corpus. They are telling us they're trying to get their the proposal into Peter Zanoni. We're giving them some time, but eventually we can, now that we have our beach stickers, if we want, we can just give them another couple of weeks, then just pull the trigger and just send them the 90-day notice just to light a fire if we need to. But the ball's in our court. Yeah, that was our biggest holdup was we were real nervous about them saying in early January, go get your own stickers. And then we'd have been like, ah, geez.
Some little baggy this time.
They're really busy over there too.
They did not put them in baggies this time. The only thing they did different is the rules are in a box. And so they're going back to go where you can't pull them out of the box with the slit. So that is the improvement that they're not in that. And
they do that. We kind of don't have a lot of say in the little baggy thing.
and the beach department, believe me, they wanted it done as the purchasing department Corpus would not let them drop the contract. And they did not deliver on time. They came in Tuesday, the 18th, Corpus, and they delivered in the city hall and they brought here.
And then I think LT did I talked to Chief about when to like ramp up official sticker? Weren't we doing like a week of,
I think I said that someone.
what were we doing? Did we put something out officially?
I
That,
thought it was the first or something next week, start forcing it. Monday.
what did you guys see? This Friday?
Yeah, the 28th is what's been posted.
I wasn't sure if it was this Friday or Monday. I remember.
I think we were giving them about a week, so that sounds about right. So
Yeah, I want to say the end of the month was going to be the enforceable part of it. The warning started, I think.
right. So anyway, we're ramping up. Our beach guys itching.
I'm sure he is. He's like, I want to be out
We
there.
just started selling to the 24th.
Is there a reason why we don't staple through the sticker for when people get their license plate?
Yes, because then the sticker itself has holes in it and if they don't have a staple remover and they tear it, then you got a problem. So no, what we do is when we sell it to them with a golf cart plate, we put them in an individual envelope.
That just seems crazy.
So
It does, but we don't want that sticker because then we're responsible, when we were in this, when we were in the revenue share, we had to pay for that sticker. And, so we're just trying to get where the sticker didn't get messed up. But this is the last year contract with the printer, no matter what, so purpose we go.
Okay.
This printer contract is just a 2-year contract. And they will not.
I'm sure he would love better.
He was, but I don't believe he was the lowest qualified.
That's probably true.
My-
Who's next? Darla, you next?
Yeah, you come back up
Yeah,
here.
come on. Finance.
Tell us which one you don't have.
We don't have any city property.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I talked to Brent. Oh, I've been talking to Brett. So the county is slowly getting their appraisal, which matches our slow appraisal. So we got 2 appraisals, both of them at Tazador, but I put the order of importance on the cutoff road one to do it first, because that one has the time crunch on it, whereas the county's kind of being really slow. So we got a little more time on that one. So we're trying to get that.
Do you think we can have something?
I think we're close. I contacted got a good email from the Fox representatives from their real estate person. And so they're working with us. They're being very generous.
So, I mean,
Yeah. So we're hoping to bring it to you guys at the February meeting. So, that one, and then just the county one. Yeah.
So what do you think the county one will, March maybe?
I don't know. I think ours will be, I think we'll beat there. I think we'll have ours ready by late February, but we'll see how the county does on theirs. And then those are both, those should be really quick closings because they're both, we're not borrowing on those. We're just using, yeah. So I think once we get the appraisals and hammer out the final number, bring it back to you guys for approval, I think we can move forward pretty quick with closing since it's all cash. So,
Okay, now,
all right.
You have a written report in the packet. Just want to talk to you things about the economic indicators for the first month in a very long time. Our hotel rental tax is down 32%.
And that's from November or?
Comparing, it's actually December. If it was collected, no way. We're still in January. Just so late. It was for rental. What was paid in December. And doesn't mean the winter Texans aren't here. Remember, if you had to stay more than 30 days, you did not pay tax. So sales tax, though, for the same corresponding period was still at 13% compared to last year. So we're at almost 14% for the first 3 months of the year. Our golf cart plates are on sale. We've already done about 2,000. If you are getting a vanity plate, we always persuade you to try to come in earlier rather than later, so we can get those printed and get you back to the real plate because those physically get printed. And each parking permits went on sale last Thursday. So we have those available, and it's cotton, everybody using their jerseys, fix them up, so. Should be on sale everywhere. But they're not going out there. It's not in their contract if they have to go out. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Darla.
Hey. Police report, please.
It didn't get included with the packet, but I have the.
Okay.
I had some of the report anyway, folks. We didn't get the court numbers. Britt was out when we were compiling it, so we weren't able to get those numbers.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, for December, the police department, we did right at 2,200 calls for service. Municipal citations filed. We couldn't get those numbers. I think I got a rough number. Some of the stuff that I was able to pull. this evening, let me look here. I want to say it was right around 100 citations is what we did in December. 42 arrests, 42 people. We got 51 total charges, 14 were for alcohol-related offenses, including DWI. And we had some DWI enhanced charges, which is usually more than their first offense or the higher BAC. 6 felonies, 1 misdemeanor charge for drug-related crimes. We arrested 14 warrants, 2 misdemeanor assault charges were filed, 3 misdemeanor property crimes. And we had some other offenses that are included in that. We didn't get the traffic stuff from the court this past, for December, she was out. But we did have some significant events in December. We were pretty busy for the winter time this last month. We got 2 graffiti artists, caught them in the act out at the skate park and arrested them and charged them with the offense of graffiti.
Thank you.
Yes. And
You can go out there and scrub it off.
They ought to do it.
well, there's some discussion going on between the court and the offenders to figure out exactly what they need to do with that. So we also arrested a 41-year-old man for deadly conduct. He pulled a handgun on a pizza delivery guy. We had,
If you really want that pizza.
well, there was some other
No
issues that were
pepperoni.
going on. There were some mental issue things going on. So
Forgot the extra cheese.
yeah. But we got that situation lined out and nobody was hurt. Thank goodness. And then, well, the emergency services toy roundup, we were able to do gifts and meals for 125 local children.
Awesome.
This past year. So we had a really good year. And on the golf cart and the sticker enforcement, it was the 15th, we started license plate enforcement, golf cart enforcement again. And we're scheduled to start the sticker enforcement, writing citations again on the 29th, which is Saturday.
Thank you for all the hard work.
Any questions or anything?
Thank you.
What happened with that record? You know, on the highway where they.
Oh.
2 nights ago.
Yeah, a couple of nights ago.
I saw it when I went to town and
Thank-
came back. It was black away.
Yeah, thank goodness nobody was injured in that. We're working through some issues that we ran into on the removal of that, so we'll see what we can come up with, but yeah, thank goodness nobody was hurt. And it
Yeah,
just
Just a
exploded
real
the trailer.
mess.
Yeah, it looked really bad. Thank God it wasn't. So,
Looks like the guy in the car could have been really bad. Hey, then a little bit further over that beam, whenever it
Yeah.
comes a little bit.
Yeah.
That would have been really ugly.
yep.
It was hard to get around when I went. So,
Yeah.
you know, it was sticking out.
Yeah, yeah, and we're trying to work through the issues that we had, so trying to get it removed. So I think we'll get those resolved here pretty quick.
Awesome.
We appreciate you guys working on taking care of a particular individual that was causing problems in businesses around town too.
We are still actively working with him, but
Okay.
I think we've got it tampered down
Okay.
quite a bit. We had him in our facility not long ago, and we had an interview with him and explained how things work, and I think it's made it.
Thank you, appreciate
it. Sure. Anything else, folks?
No.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, EMS report.
Daniel, let
Last.
us make you go last.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Same situation, like making it worked out.
Okay.
A little bout with COVID, then I had a little bout with vacation and.
About vacation. Yeah.
Now we're back in action.
Speaking of COVID, how are the COVID numbers? I hear they're going down, but it seems like everybody talking
Well, I
about.
know a handful of them right now. It's
Yeah.
going.
It's still pretty wild.
It
I don't
is.
have exact numbers on COVID calls, but I know that we run through quite a few this last couple months. Definitely spiked. Let's see here. So 71 calls. This is for the month of December. That is a 14% increase in our versus 2020 December. Year to date, 1,229 calls, up 21% over the previous year. So we're definitely on a big increase on calls. You can just see how it's been trending, and I think even since the hurricane, I mean, we're probably up almost 400 or 500 calls.
Are we be able to handle it? Or we look at buying it or getting another crew, another ambulance?
No, we're handling it fine right now. Handling it fine. It's just, I mean, but it's a lot higher call volume, and you know, some of the guys are running a little bit ragged, you know, every now and then, but they have their time to rest. They're doing just fine.
So just out of curiosity, we have an outside company that bills for every call, correct?
That's correct.
Now, is it a flat fee or is it based on the service provided?
Oh, there's a fee schedule. I mean, so I mean, there's based off refusals, even if we come there, take your vitals, everything else, you know, essentially, if you called us and we came in, there's usually a billable, you know, and I mean, if we insist and they're trying to refuse or a third party calls, then there is times when there might not be a bill, but typically they're getting a bill. And then transports, of course, is you go into an ALS version where it's a lot higher. And then they bill off mileage as well. Depending on where we transport you.
Thank you.
Average response time, we dropped it. I know last month, I think we were at 6 minutes, 20 seconds, and we went down to 5 minutes and 5 seconds. So that's a good thing. Transport totals 28 on December. 29 treated non-transports. And then of course you see a couple false alarms, cancel calls. That's where a third party calls, we get there and they're like, I didn't call anyone else, I don't want it. Or the PD will call, you know, get an ambulance rolling onto a car wreck or something, and then we get there and we don't want them, so that's your cancel. And then public assist, same kind of deal, either fire standbys, wrecks, stuff like that, that we can, and we have 8 of them. Mutual aid calls 83 for the year, and then ER's been packed, you know, same as been every month, just getting worse and worse, it seems like. My last transport, I think there's 6 ambulances waiting to go in. So we were waiting in the parking lot before we could get in the hallway to go in.
Where was that?
That one was, the last one was in Bay Area. We did do a little survey with the crew today, and I think Bay Area, it is our #1 hospital that we transport to, just because it is a cardiac center, stroke center, trauma center. It's got everything, and it's our closest facility, gets us back in service, typically quicker. Lately, we have been transporting a little bit more to Spawn Shoreline because we seem to get a better turnaround. Versus
waiting in the hallway. Generally, what's the wait time when, you know?
Almost waiting the ER for 24 hours for a room.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and a lot of what's going on lately is we'll get to the ER and we'll wait for 20 minutes and then they'll say, just put that one in the triage.
Okay.
You know, I mean, and there's a thought that if you go by ambulance, you get into ER quicker, and we're trying to educate our people. And, you know, some people don't take it as, you know, they take it like we're just not want to transport, but we're trying to tell them, this is the scenario now. It's just different than it used to be. I mean, just because you call an ambulance doesn't mean you're going to go to a bed.
Right.
I mean, we're putting you in a hallway chair and a wheelchair in the triage with patients that we get to the hospital and they're like, can you take us back? So there's a lot going on with that. We did order the ambulance in the last meeting. We said we were about to. We got the quotes. We ordered it, and they still say 12 to 14 months. So it's going to be a while until we get a new one. We've got a couple of our guys working on protocol rewrites, which we do every couple of years, and hopefully it should be done by next month. The Sandfest money that we got last month, we spent most of it. We got everything on order some backboards and order some stair chairs, and so waiting on the stair chair to arrive. And I've been working on some grant paperwork with Darla, and hopefully we'll have some grants and some money to come to y'all and ask for a few things and get that going. COVID hit our crew as well. We've had most of our crew has either had COVID or had the symptoms, been out, and they tested negative. And the one thing I do want to bring up is we had a pretty, in our line of work, it's our job to save people's lives, but so we don't usually give a hero or life-saving award or anything like that. But we did have, we had 2 different saves this last month, which is pretty cool. You know, for us to get a save, that means they get into the hospital, they're full cardiac arrest, and we get them back, and they either go into a rehab facility or they get out, they walk out. And I know one of them is for sure at home and the other one is in rehab.
Nice.
Good work. That fancy machine, the breather ones.
Yeah,
what it's
the
called.
CPR machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, the CPR machine, it was utilized in one of the 2 CPRs. The other one we got back relatively quick, and then just was able to treat throughout the way.
Nice.
Just to say the names real quick, it was Jason, Jarvis, Elliot, and Josh were on one of them, and then Jason again, Justin, Brian, and myself.
Great.
Pretty cool.
Oh, that's good. Thank you so
No
much for
problem.
saving lives. That's great.
It's a good thing when it works out.
Did you catch any fish?
My mom to the hospital as well.
Oh, you did you catch any fish?
I did catch a lot of fish.
I'm jealous. I want you to know I'm jealous. Very jealous.
And I did, Fran and I spaced out fire. I think they were so efficient. in December that
Oh.
I subconsciously, I didn't catch it, so I apologize for that. So, but if Chris is here, he wants to come up and give a, but I will make sure to get him back on. I texted Adam, said, hey, dude, you got off. I spaced out. And he said, please let me only do it a quarterly. And I was like, I don't know, dude. So, yeah, right. Yeah, I'll pass it on to him. He thought he had to do like Vinton's like every month. So, yeah. So sorry about that. I'll make sure we get them.
Oh, we get their numbers every week, with their payroll. We can definitely put that in there.
Yeah. All right.
Is there, I don't know if you got my email or not about like letting these guys go early.
Yeah, that's really it's how you guys want to work it. We've always made staff suffer so that citizens get out quicker. So it's really how you got what your philosophy is. Staffers, we get paid, so we're here, and we just try to get. We've always tried to get the citizens out first and get them, to make it quick for them.
Well, I mean, to tell you that he would like to go home.
Well, I meant like if for all like the action items, we've always tried to get business and get the people out of here. That's the reason is we've always wanted citizens that are sitting in the whole meeting to be able to get out quicker.
Just for FYI.
Versus ours.
Come up and tell you that this meeting is too early and it's like you start at 7 so they can attend them. I would like to tell you
Right.
that.
So that's kind of our philosophy of why we all go last, because they get paid.
So I'd like to say I was off.
Now Adam doesn't.
Yeah. I'd like to say I was off an hour on my estimate when we'd be finished up. So
Early or late?
late.
No.
I estimated 8:30. So.
I said 10, so.
Yeah.
36.
Yeah.
I know, it's almost over, my God.
Does anybody else have any comments? Mike?
Nope.
So we get a rollout of the message board. We have passwords and everything. Is anyone used? Is it live?
It's live.
If you filled your paper, she's gonna send you an
You
email.
already got
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been looking at it.
I just put test.
Yeah. I saw that.
And so when you get you'll reset your password and then you can go.
And so hopefully maybe with the comp plan stuff, we can really use it a lot.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. All right. All right. Some of them are hourly.
Yeah.
No, you.
I don't know.
So on the larger fence things, since it hasn't been modified since. Is that something we should do through council or through comp plan? I mean, it's to you.
I kind of like that they cover it because I get nervous when they shit like that just being on my desk.
I'm not saying, you raise $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked it like they had to come here because that's a big thing.
Oh, no, I'm just answering the question.
Yeah, I kind of like that number is low.
Okay. No, because it really, I mean,
you don't see many.
Besides Sandfest and this, what else do we really have?
The Parks and Wildlife guys have done their concert thing, but they moved it to Rockport because they got mad at us.
Yeah.
It's not. It's only.
Yeah, I just said.
It ain't worth.
Okay, well, I understand.
Yeah. Good job. Well, we got it. I mean, there was a 10-minute hiccup.
No, you're very good on YouTube.
Well,
Because
yeah.
have this one on to
Yeah.
share cheers.
You think
We
it was
did-
them?
No, we did, I don't know. We did it in reverse.
Yeah.
Instead of, she made yours the main
Right.
one instead of this one.
Right.
Sharing it. Well, you could have shared the
Right.
screen. Because this controls right here.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it was.
No, we were back on here. I had that meeting. After that.
Yeah.
We picked you up.
Right.
We could see it. We could see it. Like.
Really? Oh, wow. Man, I'm hungry.
That's just what I was getting, David. Starving.
You know, did it.
All right.
I said, next time we need to take
that one like we always did,
Yeah.
share it to you like
Yeah,
you do, and then
right.
you share yours up there. Yeah. I need to make sure it's shut off here.
Right.
So I can- Okay. No. Stop sharing. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.